sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe, and it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Simracersworld TV, and welcome to the Simracersworld 2.4 Hours of Le Mans community event. My name is Chaz Draycott, known to a lot of you as Chazlington, and alongside me in the commentary box today we have Jack Werrell. It's going to be a fantastic event today, Jack. Really looking forward to this one. What do you reckon we've got in store?
Oh, it's going to be a race just full of battling. Looking at practice and going off qualifying, there's going to be a battle everywhere we look. Obviously, we've got some amazing corners here. So we've got Porsche curbs, which I think is going to be probably one of the most exciting portions of the track, as well as Tetra Rouge going onto the Mulsanne. So I reckon that'll be a make or break corner. Make sure you get an amazing run out of there. But it's going to be such a good race by the looks of it.
It certainly is, and of course a massive grid of cars and drivers today. 3 classes for you, of course, the LMP1 machines. We seem to only have Porsches in that class at the moment, and of course the LMP2 class, which is very packed indeed, and then a very thorough GTE class as well. We'll have a quick look at the drivers out on track now then. At the moment, it's Jeroen Kweekel who is top of the standings. He's racing here for G-Drive Racing Eximia Rev Match, of course the actual G-Drive racing team as well. So we've got some real sort of honourable mentions in this one, Jack. It's going to be interesting to see how they get on, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You've got a range of experience up and down the board. So we've got very high I rating to sort of medium I rating, which is great to see. It's very exclusive or very inclusive. So yeah, like you say, there's a lot of talent now. And it's just going to be such an amazing race with these guys. You know, like I said, you're never going to be bored. So I'm just looking forward to see how the different skill levels approach this race.
And just looking in the LMP1 class, Sam Bentham is currently second for Quantum Racing Black. Pete Harrod for CQR is in third position at the moment, with Rashid Kasim in fourth for V Racer. Rashid races in the Simracersworld TCR series. Been watching him with great hope. Gonzalo Perez is currently 5th for Blue Racers Performance. And then in the LMP2 class, we have Bram van Putten, the Dutch driver for G-Drive Racing Eximia Rev Match. Yes, that's right, they have 2 teams entered in this series, or this event, I should say. Here's Josh Cam for XI Racing Orange as well, in the other LMP2 car. On the left-hand side, you can see the 3 different classes. We have the red stripes for the P1 class, the blue for LMP2, and the green GTE cars. It's currently Martin van Ruik who is top, and he is Team Simpact Racing in GTE. Behind him is Gavin Thomas, and that is Quantum Racing White. Quantum Racing have quite a few cars out there today. Ben Henderson is another one of them. He is in Quantum Racing Blue, 4th at the moment. Nothing blue about that car on my screen though. What do you reckon about the traffic today, Jack? Is that going to be a real issue for these guys? I mean, we've seen that it can be on or off at Le Mans, but like you said about all these different sort of skill levels coming around here, do you reckon that is going to be an issue?
I'm sure it'll play a part. Obviously, with my time on iRacing as a driver, I've experienced traffic, but also watching people's streams, sort of there or thereabouts. It does start to play a part, especially the first time through traffic as an LMP1 car. You're getting through the GTE field. It's very saturated, so you've got to make sure you pick your time to overtake. There's no need. It's a 2.25 hour race, or 2 hour 25-minute race, I believe. So you've got to make sure you're not being very aggressive through traffic, because it won't just hurt your race, it'll hurt theirs. But I 100% think it'll play a part, whether it's for the positive side or the negative side, and which class it'll affect, I'm not 100%, but I'm sure it'll definitely start to play a part the first time through.
Well, fingers crossed that everybody plays it safe. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting race all the same. Just trying to show you some of the intervals on screen at the moment. I've got 1,000,001 different things that keep showing up. All the gaps and everything keep added on top of each other. It's a lot of fun. We'll hide that for now and get rid. But the qualifying session as it stands then, just almost halfway through. We're going on board here with Ben Henderson for Quantum Racing Blue in the BMW. Down the main straight he goes. Of course, a very iconic track here, Jack. It's going to be very, very exciting to see how everybody gets on. There's so much at stake here, of course. A lot of bragging rights for these drivers, but you know, we've got a long, long way before the end of it. Do you reckon it's going to be a strategy game that wins it at the end, or is it just going to be outright pace?
I'm sure outright pace will help, but being an endurance race, it's not really about pace. It's more about consistency. So as long as you can keep a consistent lap time, you and your teammate for the double driver teams, and you nail your pit stop strategy, obviously it's best to, personally I think it's best to pit early then. But as long as these guys nail their strategy, they go into the race knowing what their plan is, and as long as they stick to that, I reckon strategy will probably be what wins this race.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? And here's a fantastic name, Louis Klinkhammer. What a fantastic name that is for Racing Centre Vibe Sports. Just blinking in and out a little bit there in the LMP2 class. Currently sitting 4th. 5th is Edward May in the Fury Simsport LMP2 car as well. Edward races in a couple of the other Simracersworld series. Just hearing as well that Van Ruik was the winner of the SRW VLN event last weekend in the GT4 class, so definitely a force to be reckoned with. And these LMP2 cars, I don't see them out on track that often, but they certainly sound good. Absolutely love these things. But they're going to be mixing it with the GTE cars. There's one of the Year 1 racing cars just behind there. Paul Clist is in another one of them in the Porsche. We'll go on board so you can hear it scream as he goes down the Mulsanne straight. These things do make an absolutely belting noise. They really do. But onto the straights then. Do you reckon that there's going to be any sort of people holding back trying to fuel save in this race, Jack? Or do you reckon they are just going to go for it and just take the pit stops as and when they come?
Like I mentioned with strategy, I guess it depends on what your plan is going into the race. I think personally, as I've done a couple of special events, I tend just to run the car until I run out of fuel. But these guys might know that they need to maybe take a couple of less litres, and it might even gain them a bit of time. If they're fuel saving, if they can stay out for a full lap, it might gain them something. But yeah, it's really going to be strategy, and as long as these guys have got the plan going in, I think they will come out on top. As long as they know what they're supposed to be doing and they stick to it. Yeah, I think no matter what your strategy is, you'll probably come out on top.
Well, it's going to be very exciting to see either way. Of course, you're going to be a fan of these boys at the moment. Alexi Lane for the Fiercely Forward team, a team that you are in, of course. That livery looks really good on the Porsche, doesn't it, actually?
It does. I know Ollie's been spending a lot of time with liveries. He's always getting requests from various people throughout the team, and he works tirelessly to get them out, and he never fails to deliver. He's had a play around with different sort of spec maps and different liveries, and he's sort of stuck with one at the moment. But I do respect the guys that keep themselves busy. Obviously, Ollie running the team, but then like the Meraki guys just behind, they must spend so much time making liveries because they're almost in every championship you see. So whoever's making their paints is incredibly committed. So props go out to them. But yeah, definitely it's a very good looking car. I wouldn't say this could be quite biased, but I wouldn't say that's the best looking car on track. I think my favourite at the moment is the Flemish Simsport Sport GT. I think that is a real eye catcher. It's matte black with there it is, matte black with satin, gold, and red. It just looks so good.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. What we'll do is we'll take advantage of the fact that iRacing can give us some unrealistic camera angles sometimes, where the fact this is a sim helps us out. Excuse the overlay a little bit here, but we're going to have a quick look around this car just so you can have a check out of the spec map. Look at the gold and the beautiful metallic tones that it has on it, with the little blue LEDs and the windscreen strip as well. It's a very, very good looking bit of kit, like Jack says. Very pretty indeed. We'll probably come back and have a look at some of the other liveries over the course of the day as the race goes on, but definitely have to appreciate a good livery, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. it's all well and good you being a quick guy, and as long as you've got a quick setup and you're comfortable with the car. But at the end of the day, them go faster stripes. They make you go quicker. If you've got a good-looking livery, you've got a quick car.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And apparently we have Meraki Sim Racing fanboys in the house, Ian says. Andy Hopley in there as well. So we'll go back and have a look at some of the Meraki cars. Here's PJ Clayson's for Meraki Racing Pink. That's another good livery as well. The other one just in front, actually, Meraki Racing Black there. That's his teammate. And at the wheel of that at the moment, we have Lewis Ward, who races it. Oh, already, there you go. There's some formation flying for the Meraki boys there. Not quite too sure they'll be happy that I've shown that on screen. Sorry, Andy, mate. Here is Dylan Archer in Archer Brothers Esports Blue. They're a three-driver team. American drivers in this team. They're hoping for some strong results today, of course. But like Jack says, it's all about the consistency. Now here is Nick Shermans, who has probably one of the more ironic and hilarious team names on the grid, actually. He's down as Simracers LMP2, Simracersworld LMP2, but he's in an LMP1 car. Do you think it's been on the steroids overnight?
I don't know, he might be sandbagging. He's just saying he's an LMP2 car, catch people by surprise, come out the pits in LMP1, take the win.
Part of the banner.
But no, it doesn't matter what he's driving as long as he's having fun, and in that beautiful SRW livery, I'm sure it doesn't matter what he's driving as long as he's got SRW on it. It'll go fast.
Oh, I definitely will. And just looking back earlier to one of the Porsches that was weaving down the straight, warming up its tyres. It's incredible the amount of turn-in speed these things have got, and they're just so fast. Look at the change of direction there. I believe just going past there, that may have been. Was that? No, I'm just trying to figure out which of the LMP1 cars that was that went past us there. Where's he gone? He was on my list earlier on. Trying to find out who it was now. There's David Fuller. It's not. Oh, it's the Banzu RX Flow LMP1 car. This thing was flying in practice before when I was watching it, but it's in a very plain white livery at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's intentional or not, but look at the speed that it does down here. It's absolutely flying. We'll go and grab one of the head-up displays, just see whether I can get that on screen. For some reason I've not got the option to on here at the moment, which is all of the fun in the world. But these things, honestly, believe me, they fly. I mean, you can see it now. Just look at the acceleration out of the corner. The trees, before you know it, they're blurring past you. And there's just no chance to even correct a mistake half the time in these things. I don't know how they do it, do you?
No, they're definitely way out of my league. I think I'll stick to the slightly slower but maybe a bit more predictable GT cars. But yeah, I have massive respect if you can drive one of these at all, but even more if you can drive them quickly. I've seen multiple clips of guys going sideways down the straight, like by accident. They've either hit a curb or hit a bump that's thrown them offline, and they collect it all up. So if you can keep this thing in a straight line for 2 hours and 25 minutes, massive respect to you. I really do respect all of these guys, no matter what you're driving. As long as you can keep it on the track and keep it clean, as long as you can cross the line even, massive respect to these guys.
Yeah, definitely, and it's in the slower corners like this now in the Ford chicanes, of course, where these cars really do start to understeer. But look at the kilometres just climbing there. Before you know it, you're doing 200 kilometres an hour, 250, 270, into the 280s, nearly doing 180 miles an hour coming into turn one. It's scary stuff. As Pachina's gone second, now he's put it off the circuit, he's going to pull over and then probably go back into the pits, get some new tyres and come back out. Here's the Quantum Racing red car of David Fuller coming into the final few cars. That's a fancy livery, isn't it? That's a really good looking bit of kit.
Yeah, it's I did mistake Quantum for saying Chaslington, but it is, yeah, it's a very eye-catching livery. I like it. Just it's almost a honeycomb pattern. It works on all the cars, like you can see. Now we're looking at the BMW that, so yeah, it just works. It's so nice. You can't miss it, bearing in mind it's bright green. But yeah, it's a very nice livery, so whoever's made that, yeah, they've done a good job.
It certainly stands out, that's for sure. Just looking up and down our classes at the moment then, top of the P2 class is still G-Drive with Bram van Putten. Absolutely flying at the moment, and top of GT is still Martin van Ruik, and G-Drive also top with Martin van Luzenoord. If anyone's been watching Simracersworld before, they will know Martin. And he is a very popular sim racer indeed. Very fast, this guy. So it'll be great to see how he gets on, doing over 180 miles an hour then as he comes down the end of the straight onto the brakes. And the slower corners are difficult, like I was saying, in these P1 cars, because of course they lose all the advantage they gain from having so much downforce. Is that going to be something they've got to worry about as the tyres go off over the course of the race?
I'm sure it'll be in the back of the minds at the end of the day. It's not all about fuel management. Tyre management is going to be a major thing. There are a lot of quick corners which will be taxing on the tyres, but also the slow corners where, like you mentioned, understeer will play a part. I think that will be quite something to bear in mind. Obviously, with the hybrid systems as well. So depending on your hybrid deployment, if you deploy it too early and spin up the tyres, that's just going to throw any tyre strategy away. So you've always got to be thinking about what you can conserve. If you can lift off half a second earlier, save a bit of fuel, and also probably gain a bit of energy through that. If you, because obviously it's recovered through the braking. So it's like I said at the start, it's all going to be about strategy. If you can save fuel, save tires, and save energy in these things, you're going to come out on top. But yeah, I think worrying about tires will be probably the major thing. So understeer, oversteer, you've got to be so careful in these things because like you've already mentioned, oversteer is so hard to catch. So you've just got to be on it the entire time. So it's going to be a tough race for anybody in these top tiers.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there you go, everybody. That's the analysis according to Jack Werrell. Absolutely hitting the nail on the head. We're just looking at his teammate at the moment, Mr. Lane, having a bit of a battle with another P1 car on track. Just a quick one as well to note, we've got 50 viewers at the moment. Thank you everybody for stopping by. We do hope that you enjoy the broadcast and stick around for the majority. There's a Ferrari there just in the way of these guys. Ian has mentioned as well, we spoke about it in practice, Jack. It's a 26-degree track temperature at the moment, so it's nice and cool for these cars, so some really quick times coming in. I mean, 3:17.3 is unbelievably fast for Van Loosenord, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. 3:17.3 is, funnily enough, pretty much bang on the current lap record at Circuit de la Sarthe. So it's, yeah, definitely quick, perfect conditions. And I'm not sure, there's not massive amounts left in this qualifying session, but I can probably see that going a bit quicker if you get used to the car. Obviously, the longer you're in the car, the more you get used to the car and the track conditions. So my money's on them going probably even a couple of tenths quicker.
Well, let's hope that we can see that. Of course, another thing you were saying in practice as well is the fact that these sort of cars around this track, you expect there to be quite a difference in the lap times, and as you can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side, it's not even a second between the top two, and that's round here considered a very small gap, considering that it's over 3¼ minutes.
Yeah, definitely is almost 8.5 miles long, and if you can do a lap and you're within a second of the car in front of you, it's just shaping up to be an amazing race. If these guys are pushing hard in qualifying and they're within a second, when they're in the race and they're thinking about strategy, and obviously they'll be draft as well because you'll be starting sort of 2 by 2, possibly even single file here. I've seen some races go single file, as getting 2 cars alongside each other through the 4 chicanes is quite the challenge. But yeah, I'm guessing at the start of the race it's going to be a battle for the first hour at least. We may even see a race-long battle throughout any of these classes.
Yeah, it could go any way, as Lane goes 5th there with a 3:19.2. There's quite a couple of guys on outlaps as well now, so they're going to be hoping to just get round and potentially get one flyer in at the end. We're just looking at Glenn Van Parijs at the moment, the Belgian driver for Simracersworld Pro Assist Sim Racing. You know, it all rolls off the tongue. I'm just having a quick look further down, actually. Oh, as he's put it in the wall there and pulled it over. He's clearly not happy with that lap. Luckily, gets it out of the way before the LMP2 gets there. Here's Tyler Maxson for Year 1 Racing, number 74. That's the team name anyway. Year 1 Racing he is in. Car 18. Tyler actually races in TCR in America. He races in a Hyundai. So he's a very talented lad. He used to race in MX-5s as well. So he knows what he's doing, and hopefully he can get a lap in this session. But we've got the likes of Daniel Merchant, Kobe Clays, Lewis Ward, Maxine van der Hove, Louis Morga, Matthias de Tige, and, well, Tyler himself actually, that haven't got laps in yet. So still quite a couple of guys to go. Bottom of the standings at the moment is Andy Scott in Quantum Racing Yellow, with Paul Clist just above him. But there's at least 50 cars in this session, Jack, so it's going to get pretty crowded out there on track, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. It's just leading back to traffic again. If you've got, there's obviously more than 10 cars in each class, I think. Maybe not just that, but there's 9 cars in LMP1. So that's going to be 9 cars you've got to let by within the first, I'd say probably 5-6 laps if you're a GTE car, possibly even sooner than that. So if you've got 9 cars that can do all basically double the speed and they've got way more downforce, it's, yeah, you're letting all these cars through. And obviously you can't rely on LMP2s because they're not massively quicker than the GTEs, but it will add up lap after lap after lap. So you're going to have to start thinking about letting those guys through. And if you've got lots of cars together in the same class, and like you said, there's multiple classes, so it's just going to be a very busy race, and lots to look at. So yeah, I can't wait. I want qualifying to hurry up and we can get to the good stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I'm sure my PC can't wait to try and render all these cars on this circuit and have an absolute fit when the race starts. So I'm going to apologise in advance for that, everybody, but we've got 54 viewers at the moment, only 10 likes on the video. Come on, we can do better than that, guys. But please do make sure that you like and subscribe to Simracersworld TV. Like this video, get clicking, and of course, if you do subscribe, click the little bell notification icon as well, so you will be notified of future streams as and when they go live. Me and Jack both commentate on Simracersworld TV quite often now, of course, so we will hope to see you in some of our streams. We're up to 56 viewers in the time I've said that, so we're doing something right, Jack. Rashid Kasim at the moment is in 7th position as things stand for V-Racer. Andy Hopley was poking a bit of fun at him in the chat, saying he's way off the pace, 5.1 seconds, so we'll have to put him down into the AM class for the TCR series on Tuesdays. But Rashid giving it everything. We'll go on board with him for a second just to witness how quick this Porsche goes around the Porsche curves. It's pretty scary, and the acceleration is just second to none. And I tell you what, actually, if anybody is a fan of these cars and you haven't seen it yet, you need to go back and look at the 919 Tribute lap record around the Nürburgring. Have you seen that, Jack?
I've seen. Is that the 919 Evo?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that. It's just crazy quick. There's no time to think about where you are on track, so it's just crazy quick. I don't know how they do it, and I don't know how Porsche come up with such an amazing machine to produce that much power, well over 1,000 horsepower, with only a V4 engine, I think. So you get 500 horsepower from a V4, and then 500 just from the energy. So it's an incredible piece of kit. And if you, like I said earlier, if you can drive it quick, like massive props to you. You know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's more of a time machine than a race car, isn't it? You literally step on the loud pedal and you're at the next corner pretty much instantly. It's scary acceleration. But even these 919s that we see now, you know, the actual LMP1 regulated cars, they're still absolutely rocket machines. They fly from corner to corner before you know it. We're just looking at we've got 10 cars in LMP1 now, because we have Mr. Fuller, who has now jumped into 6th position for Quantum Racing Red. That means this driver here, Gonzalo Perez from Argentina, for Blue Racers Performance, is in 10th position in class. But it's good to see a better turnout of P1 cars, because, of course, in the Real World Endurance Championship for a while, there was only ever really 4, wasn't there? Essentially, let's say. I mean, no disrespect to the other teams that were there, but it was never a big class, was it? So it's going to be good to see some battles up there. Yeah,
definitely. I think 4 for the majority of the time, and then it went up to 6 when you had obviously the 3 big teams, Audi, Porsche, and Toyota. But like you said, there's no sort of dig at Rebellion. They're not a factory team, so they don't have all the funding in the world to put these in wind tunnels every single day when you're trying out a tiny new aero part. But yeah, it's great to see such a big spread of cars in each class. So it's just nice to see a real range of cars and drivers and talent and liveries, especially. There's so many colours and so many different spec maps on these cars on show today. There's so much to look at. I don't know where to look. It's going to be crazy. I'm lost for words at this point.
Well, over the course of the race, I'm sure we'll see more and more liveries as we go on, but you've already said, of course, that one of your favourites is the... who was it again now? It was, the Flemish Ford GT. We have had some fantastic liveries as well. Peter Gruels isn't on track at the moment for Tuk Tuk Patrol, but I believe they have a very strangely coloured car, which Jack was telling me about in practice. And I must admit, the overall at the moment, 10th in class in GTE, 38th overall. Sebastian Herberer is in probably what is the best team name out there at the moment. They're called You What Mate, as in the very slang text way of saying it. But of course, the car being an M8, it's a very good double entendre. I can't even get my words out. And as qualifying comes to an end, we're going to whack up the track map just to see who is about and who is going to be finishing a lap. So we've got 30th place overall, which is Martin van Ruik, coming towards the end. You can see the pit lane there in the bottom left of the screen, so we're probably better off actually looking a bit further up, because Alexi Lane's just come in the pits now. So we'll have a quick check of who is going to be behind him. I can see a number 1, but I can't quite see who it is that's going to be just in front. It's another one. It's Gonzalo Perez just ahead. Apologies for the buzzing on Jack's mic. It sounds like he's doing a some sort of drum solo. He's having fun, aren't you, Jack? You're loving it. Is Gonzalo? Sorry.
I'm trying to fix it. I'm struggling.
No, he has been trying for like the last hour. As Perez goes to 8th, Shermans does improve and stays 7th. 2 seconds between 7th and 8th position in LMP1 there. That's quite mad, to be honest. And here is Martin van Ruijk. We'll go on board with the beautiful sounding Porsche 991 RSR GTE. Of course, these things made very famous when they have that new exhaust put on before Le Mans. And it just screams over 9,000 RPM as well. From the 6-cylinder, beautiful Porsche engine. Good looking car as well. And he's going to pull it in the pits actually, so he's done with his qualifying session. He is not happy, and I believe he is going to be the second to last car then. So we've got the Archer Brothers Esports blue car. That's a nice livery as well. It's quite Minardi or Tyrrell-esque from the 90s Formula 1 championships. And Luca Becker, the Dutch driver at the moment, may be on a lap and maybe about to improve his position. They are currently 10th in class, 20th overall. Way over to the right, makes it look like he's going in the pit lane into the Ford chicane. On the brakes, gets it turned in. Plenty of curb on the exit. Doesn't run too wide. I'm not sure whether he would have gotten off track for that. We'll see. Across the line goes Becker. And he stays in 20th place, a 33.3, so half a second off their best lap. But that actually, Jack, will bring us to the end of qualifying then, so it's almost time to go.
Yeah, it was a very quick half an hour. I don't know whether my mic has improved in any way. But,
sounds a lot better.
There we go, that's all we needed. But yeah, it's a very quick half an hour indeed. With I suppose with these cars, the quicker the car, the quicker the time goes. And I think you will have the grid with you now, won't you?
Any moment now, anyway, I hope. I should hope. But that's me with all my fingers crossed, everything crossed, because as we all know, if you've watched any of my streams before, the SDK software does it doesn't really like me that much, but when the session finishes, it will just tick over for a minute or so now, just because these sessions, when they come to an end, they have a mandatory sort of cooldown period, just to make sure that everyone has definitely got a lap in. Even if there's nobody on track, it does tend to tick over that little bit. So this is why me and Jack are here, to fill in this empty space where there's nothing happening on track. You get to see the pretty iRacing scenic cameras, of course, so you can see just what's going on. But it's really, really going to be a good race, this, isn't it, Jack? I mean, there's so many cars out there. I'm just going to try and have a look how many of them actually qualified. 51 managed to get a time in qualifying, so we're going to have a right old ding-dong, I think, on this first lap.
Not exactly how I put it, but yeah, it's going to be a busy first lap. There's always that: do I go for the move on the first lap and hope that it works, or do you just sit behind in draft? The trouble is with obviously the Mulsanne Straight, it's all well and good you being a couple of tenths, half a second in front going onto the Mulsanne Straight, but you know by the time you get to the first chicane, you're probably not going to be in front. With these things, yes, downforce is an absolutely amazing piece of kit on all of these cars, but if you're in the draft, the downforce becomes pretty much useless and you gain 10 miles an hour.
Definitely, you definitely do indeed. Well, we're just going to have a look now at the grid then. So Martin van Loozenhoorn takes pole position from Urko Pacina. Pete Harrod and Sam Bentham line up on row 2. Then it's Alexi Lane and David Fuller on row 3, with Nick Shermans in 7th and Gonzalo Perez in 8th. Rashid Kassim and Christian Weiniger? Is it Weiniger? Yeah, from Team Switzerland. They round out the top 10. 11th is Bram Van Putten, with Liam Silkstone for Excite iRacing Orange alongside him. And I'll let you go through the rest of the P2 class, Jack.
Where did we get to? I'm sorry,
Victor Suarez, 13th.
Victor Suarez, and then we've got Louis Klinkhammer in P14 with Edward Rappinger just behind. Carlos Rui in P16, Tom Mettle P17, Brian Holmes with Peter Growls just behind. Then we get to Matthew Molnar. Kobe Class, Stephen DeWolf, John Tusting, Lee Deemer, Daniel Merchant, Jeremy Hessels, Ryan Walker, Sergio Sosa. And then rounding out your LMP2 class, we've got Michael Blake going on to a very Porsche affair at the top end of the GTE class. You've got PJ Claessens, then Martin van Reewijk in the beautiful Porsche livery which he ran at the BLN. Then got Lewis Ward and Tyler Maxson, Gavin Thomas rounding out your top 5 in the GTE class. Then Glenn Van Paris, Keanu Borgignon, Dries Muji, I believe. Rudry, something like that. Gregory Pranks, Sebastian Herber, Matthias de Tige. Who's that? Tom Gissons, Greg Jones, Ben Henderson, Anton Dupin, Kimber Hayes, Carl Hardy, Dean Timms, Kevin Boland, Robert Adams, Paul Clist in P50, which has come along very quickly. Then Andy Scott rounds out your qualifiers. And
well, we've got our own Ian Roots there. He's going to be in there as a race steward. Maxime Hove is 53rd, and Louis Morgan, I believe, was practicing before but didn't actually make the race in the end. So it's all well and good. The cars are just pulling away now, and I believe that some of the driver names there may have changed because the driver that qualified the car is not necessarily the driver that is starting the race. So we may have had some different ones there. We do apologise for that, but these things happen. This is technology, and this is multi-class racing as we know and love it. So you can see the LMP1 cars here just pulling away. They will be given quite a nice gap by Josh Cam, who is in the P2 cars. They will be told to go in just a moment. Either that or they've both stalled it and no one can move, but I doubt that is the case. Urco Gonzalez Pacini, you may see him jumping around, and Van Loosnorden at the top of the standings there. They were just bobbing in and out. I'm not quite sure whether that's down to my PC not rendering the cars or whether it's because their connections keep dropping, but it seems that it's happening a bit further down as well. So I do apologise for that. We do have it set to the maximum, so not quite sure why that's happening, but these are going to be the P1 cars then leading away. P2 cars just got going a moment ago. PJ Clayson's is going to lead away this GTE field as well. Can't wait to see how these guys get on. And let us know feedback-wise as well, everybody. On the timing tower on the left-hand side, do you want us to just split it by class or do you want it overall? Because we can do whatever you need to. And the Partuis de France flyover, the French Air Force display team. Little fun fact, they use an aircraft called an Alpha Jet.
If I'm 100% honest, they did scare me a bit. I thought I'd broken my computer a bit more than I already have done. I thought I'd severely broken it when I heard that rumble come through my headset, but we are about to go underway. Just before the Ford chicane, and are they going to force one by one, or are they going to go 2 by 2? What do you think, Chaz? What would you do?
I reckon they ought to stay 2 by 2, just for the immersion. Just for the immersion. Of course, Matt Van Loosnord here is going to be leading them away. Round the final corner he goes. The aircraft fly over, very loud indeed, and Van Loosnord has gone. He's absolutely left them. We've got some of them flickering a little bit behind. Here is Lane in 5th place. Then look at these things just dart away. We've got a complete Porsche field. And we'll go back and look at the P2 class then. Here is Bram Van Putten. He's leading them into the final couple of corners. There's only one position change in LMP1 at the moment, and that is Gonzalo Perez ahead of Nick Shermans. And of course, all of these wonderful Acura AR01XCs, or ARX01XCs, I believe. The HPD is its nickname, essentially. The G-Drive car then, Van Putten gets away well. Looks like Victor Suarez there came over a little bit on the car behind him. That's Louis Klinkhammer in the Racing Centre car, but they're all away. Almost single file all the way down. Oh, we've got a car off, actually. Sam Bentham's off in the P1 class. Bram Van Putten is also around at turn 1 as well. Big damage to the front of that car. He's had a nightmare. There was another one doing a proper Tokyo drift through turn 1 there as well. That's Matthew Molnar, and I tell you what, it's already kicking off here, Jack, and these GTE cars haven't even got going.
I know, very busy at the start of the race like we expected. I'm pretty sure 3 cars don't go into 1, but they tried it. We've got the Meraki car of PJ Clayson's leading the way as he goes now nice and early. Already got a sizable gap to Martin van Rijwijk, but like I said, that will quickly come down on the Mulsanne. We go back to another Meraki car of Lewis Ward, Tyler Maxson just behind him in the year 1 car. So there's so much to look at. We've got mainly Porsches at the front, then we drop back to a couple of BMWs. I think Gavin Thomas is now starting to come under a little bit of pressure from Glenn just behind, but what can you expect at the start of the race? You then got Dries going under intense pressure already, almost 2 wide, nearly 3 wide going through this first little section. I think that was Dries running slightly wide. I think that it might have been Tyler actually. So we've got a black oh dear, who's that?
Oh, Gavin Thomas in the middle of the road. Fingers crossed he doesn't get collected by anybody. I'm sorry for the flickering. I'm really not sure what's causing that at the moment. The cars are flickering around all over the shop. I told you that the CPU would absolutely hate me. There's some of them going back to the pits. Paul Clist has been caught up in it as well. In the year 1 car, that's got a damaged rear end on it. Hopefully he's not completely written it off. We'll go back to the front of the field though. Pacina leads the way from Van Loozenhoord. And I'm really hoping that the flickering does stop everybody. You may see me go onto the screen in a moment and just change a couple of things just to make sure that we're rendering all the cars that we can. It has been a known issue recently with iRacing that it does affect your CPU, but it's Pacina leading the way then. Van Loozenhoord second, Lane is third with Harrod in fourth place for CQR. Then it's David Fuller in fifth for Quantum Racing Red and Rashid Kassim in sixth. Nick Shermans and Gonzalo Perez have actually managed to stay where they started here, Jack. That's quite an achievement in itself.
Yeah, definitely. They're almost, I think they're well over halfway around the lap now, and if you've kept your position, as we've seen further down the classes, it's kind of hard to get through the first little section, let alone half a lap, and these guys have stayed pretty much exactly where they are. They've got their endurance head on at the moment, keeping it clean, and they're going to be focusing on not pushing too hard at this point, making sure they can survive the first few laps. After that, they can start to settle into a rhythm and sort of better judge where they are. I think that was Gonzalo Perez just behind, having a mild excursion out onto the painted tarmac, but we've come around for the first time after completing one lap, and that's gone very, very quickly, Chaz.
It has indeed. It certainly has. The P1 cars crossing the line, then Pacina leading them. We'll go back to Josh Cam, who is leading the P2 class. Behind him at the moment is Tom Metherell in Meraki Racing Blue. And what we'll do as well, just for you actually, we'll show you the leader in class as well at the top of the screen. So there you go, you can keep an eye on that too. You've got all three classes up there. So Josh Cam doing a great job at the moment. Doing everything he needs to do for Excite iRacing Orange in that very detailed livery. There is Tom Metherell for Meraki Racing Blue, and then Tuk Tuk Patrol, Peter Growls is behind him. This is one of the liveries that Jack was talking about previously. And listen to this thing, it absolutely screams. Love it, really do love it. And another lap already done for those guys, of course. They're just coming to the end of their first lap. Lewis Ward, everybody will be happy to know, is leading a Meraki Racing 1-2 to PJ Clayson's. Doing a great job in the two Porsches. Now, do you reckon these boys are going to fight early on here, Jack, or are they just going to try and streak away? Because they've got Team Simpac Racing a bit further back. Oh, side by side there is actually Glenn Van Parijs and Dries Moldy around him as well.
I think the Meraki guys up front will try and work together. We've seen two Meraki cars work together in the past, and he's really under pressure now. Speaking of Glenn Van Parijs, he's got Matthijs de Tiege just behind, and this early in the race, I think de Tiege knows what he needs to do to stick behind him probably at this point. But he is a racer, and after an absolutely amazing performance at VLN, I'm guessing if he sees a gap, he will go for it. Especially around here, if you can pick up a position at the start and keep the car behind, you'll tend to be out front for the race. But as we've seen, I'm not sure how much of the real life World Endurance Championship you've watched, but it was probably getting on 3 years ago now that the GTE class, or GTE Pro class, was decided on the very last lap of the race. So we can't rule out any sort of position change that late on in the race.
Yeah, you're certainly right there, mate. I'm just going to try and have a look back at what happened to Bram Van Putten then. So he's leading the way into turn one. And he loses it on his own. First corner of a 2 and a bit hour race, well, nearly 3 hour race, and he puts it straight in the wall then. Complete mess for him there. It's a real shame. And we go back to our race leader. Oh, just behind there, Alexi Lane, all over the back of Van Loozenhoord. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be cheering him on, won't you?
Quietly, yeah, I'm quietly cheering him on, but I haven't spent much time with Alexi, sorry. As you can probably tell, I mainly stick to my Formula 3, but I'm sure he knows what he's doing. He's got a good group of guys around him, and if I was him at this point in the race, I would probably stick behind him, make the most of draft, save a bit of fuel, and it's remarkable how much fuel you can save. Even if you just stick behind them for a couple of laps, you can start to pick up bits of fuel here and there, and if that starts to add up, you might be able to go for an overcut strategy, let the car in front dive into the pits, and then sort of use the fuel you gained from them against them in probably not the simplest terms, but then just gain a lap on them, and it might work. The overcut might work, but I haven't driven around here before, so I don't know what strategy is the preferable one. But I'm sure these guys have done plenty of practice, plenty of testing offline and together, so I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Well, I'm sure they do. Pacina just goes fastest there, a 3:20.6. Fastest lap of the race for him. I'm just scrolling down the order just to see who we've got that's closest on track, and there's a great battle here between Gregory Vranks, Kim Bayet and Sebastian Herberet. I have apologised in chat as well for the blinking, I do apologise. Oh, there's a car off in front of them as well, that's Kevin Bolland. We Love Sana Kevin Bullen's gone into the wall. I know that they're flicking around. I'm not sure whether they are on your screen, Jack, but it's pretty bad at this end. Kevin Bullen's car has, well, I really don't know what that is all over it. I really can't. Yeah, I've not a clue. But here's you what, mate, in Sebastian Herbert. I'm really going to be keeping my eye on this guy because I just, well, to be able to say the team name and mean it seriously on a broadcast is fantastic. It's got a Simracersworld livery on it as well. But the Ford there, just behind him, of Kim Bayet, is coming under pressure now from Craig Jones, who we've seen in a lot of the Simracersworld series. And he races in the World GT Championship with me as well. He's a nice lad, is Craig. Their team, of course, is a team that has been made for charity. A bit of damage on that Ferrari, though, but we know it's got good top speed, Jack. Do you think it's going to affect it at this point, or do you reckon it's just cosmetic?
It could possibly be that the damage hasn't synced correctly. I know that's been an issue previously, but I'm sure at this point we're only what, 2 laps in. We've got an issue further up, but that's I think that actually is now behind that battle we're just looking at. That's Tom Gisens, I believe, something like that. He's lost it coming out of Indianapolis this early on in the race. Probably not a major issue. The pack's still nice and close together, so I'm sure he's probably kicking himself, but he's just got to remember that it's a long race, and a small little mistake like that this early on in the race won't really hurt him. But if we go back to Craig Jones, with that damage, I'm sure he's just assessing the car, assessing how it feels through the corners. We see the BMW of Tom looking up the inside, can't quite get the moves this time done through the Porsche curves. But yeah, if I was Craig Jones, I'd be assessing the car, assessing how it's handling, and trying to make a better judgment for what to do.
And we just go back to the P2 class at the moment. This is Jeremy Hessels. Behind him is Lee Deemer for XII Racing Cherry, and then Michael Blake for Team Mad Immortal. Team Mad are in quite a lot of the serious racing series, especially in the endurance side of things as well. They've raced in SCO, I believe they're in Neo as well, and the 24-hour series. And good to see these boys back out there again. I'm really sorry about this blinking, guys. Honestly, it's annoying me as much as it's annoying you, but we will have to persevere with it. But Michael Blake here catching up with Lee Deemer. Was going to go on board with him, or we're going to try. Onto the brakes he goes. I think the issue is, if I just try and explain it 1 second, is that when I try and flick back to some of these cars that are drawn further away from some of the others, if we flick from, say, an LMP1 car that's halfway around a track to the guys at the other end, then it may not render all the cars, and it just has a bit of an issue. We'll see whether we can sort something out. We might have to go to a bit of a splash screen in a bit, if that's all right with everybody, and then we can try and get something done. But it seems to stabilise the longer we stay with them here, Jack, so we might not have to jump around a bit too much.
Yeah, we'll just have to hope that these guys keep battling, and as long as there's no major battles elsewhere through the field, we should be okay. But this is now a 5-car quickly developing into a 6-car battle for what I believe isn't exactly that high up in the field. So we're on board, or we're looking at Ryan Walker, who's leading the way, and he is P16 overall, which I believe is P6.
Oh, there's contact!
P2 class has contact.
Jeremy Hessels makes contact.
Yeah, you go ahead, Jazz.
Oh, he just wanted to go down the inside, and I'm not quite sure that Ryan knew he was completely there, to be honest with you. But it was unnecessary for this early on, to be honest with you. Let's have a quick look back. I'm just going to click on this one. So he turns in. Yeah, to me, you see, Ryan doesn't realise that there's an overlap there. Jeremy was still putting his nose down the inside. They were lucky not to get collected by some others as well. But he sticks with it. He carries on. Doesn't look like there was too much damage to the front of that car, to be honest, considering the hit it had. It seemed alright, didn't it, really?
Yeah, very minor rear wing damage. I think Jeremy did have his nose there, and he couldn't have really gone anywhere. He had grass on his right, and he was pretty much already exceeding track limits just to trying to make the gap. But yeah, that's not trying to point fingers, but I do think that I probably would call it a racing incident. Jeremy was there, but I wouldn't say it was probably there for a position, because he would have developed into the outside for the latter section of Indianapolis. But it's endurance racing. It happens. I'm sure they'll both get back out. We'll see what Jeremy's going to do. Is he going to peel off into the pits? No, he's just taking a very slow entry into the Ford chicanes. But yeah, like you said, it's probably not quite necessary this early on in the race. But we can't really say that when we're sat looking at the screen and not racing. So if he saw the gap, he will have 100% gone for it. But it's a shame to see that. But yeah, it's racing.
Certainly is, mate. And just a little update as well. I had a comment in the from Brand van Uytven in the chat saying the track map would make it easier to follow, and what I've done is I've put it up there now, so you've got the red cars in the LMP class, and it's done by position as well. So the numbers that you see on there are the positions. So we'll go to Alexi Lane, who has taken the lead of the race, by the way, from Pacina. Pacina has dropped down actually quite a little bit over the last lap or so, so we'll have to have a quick check and see quite how he managed that, because that slipped under my radar. I'm not quite sure about you, mate, but this is Van Loozenord and Lane apparently overtaking one another. Did one of them get a slowdown? He might. Yeah, I think he must have got a slowdown penalty, surely.
Oh, I saw some gravel getting kicked up, but Alexi, sorry. Alexi, I'm going to keep on having to say that. Alexi has gained 4 positions since the start, so a really strong start to his race, and he's so he's gone from P4 to P1 in what is that, 3 laps?
Yeah.
So absolutely incredible drive from him, and he's just, I guess, like I said, he's got his endurance head on now. He'll just be keeping it consistent, and if he loses a position, is it a massive issue? Probably not. If he's keeping it consistent, he'll quickly gain that back with strategy. It's one of them things. It's going to keep on coming up in conversation every single lap almost. It's all about strategy and all about keeping it consistent this early on in the race.
It certainly will be. It's definitely something for him to consider. He just needs to keep his head as it goes on. I am really, really sorry about all this flickering. Honestly, it's something that I want to try and do something about. I'm going to just try and see whether we can sort out a quick sort of ad break of some sort, just so we've got something running. And I'm just going to try and sort this flickering issue out. So if you just bear with me, guys, I'm going to put one of our Simracersworld TCR trailers on for you, which is very nicely made, which you will, I'm sure, enjoy. And I'll be back with you in just a moment. So please do bear with me. Okay, so apologies for that, everyone. We're just trying to get things back to normal here. Some of the cars are rendering absolutely fine, and then we've got some of them blinking around quite a lot. I am very sorry for what's going on here. I think it is a PC-related issue. I have tried to change all the options and everything I can within iRacing, but it just, I think because the cars are that spread out on the track, it only draws a certain amount of the cars, so it just basically pretends that some of them aren't there. Because the field is that spread out, and from where we are with my PC, it keeps sort of calculating how many cars are further ahead than the one we're looking at and how many cars are behind the one we're looking at, and it keeps changing how many of them are rendered, unfortunately. So we're going to try and persevere with it. Here is Kobe Clays, who is 4th in class at the moment, and here's the issue I was talking about. You can see it's just flickering around way too much every time we change. He's in a battle with Peter Grills at the moment, or Growls, they're side by side in there somewhere as they go over the hill down to the end of the straight. And I know this may be quite unbearable to watch. I am sorry. This isn't normal, to be fair. We haven't had any of these issues before. I mean, we were in practice before, me and Jack, and everything was running completely fine. And I'm pretty sure he'll vouch for me on that one as well. But
yeah, there's no issues at all.
It's literally just kicked off now. Here's Peter Growls then. He's gone through, but now, of course, he's got the car behind him in the slipstream. Trust me, Ingemar, I have tried changing the visible options, mate. Don't you worry. I have tried sorting them out, and it has not changed it one bit. What it may be worth doing, actually, is we will just go to see whether we can leave the session and come back in. Visible cars to 100. Yeah, thanks, Ollie. That's one way of definitely sorting it. We're just going to see whether we can maybe try and rejoin the session. What do you reckon, Jack? Do you reckon we could try and sort something out with that?
I'm sure it's an option. It might be an option or an issue. As soon as you joined, it didn't quite get everything synced, so it's a shout.
Yeah, we may have to see what we can do with that. See, it's calmed down for just a second now. It's crazy how it just goes mad and then it's fine again. Maybe worth trying to save anything that my CPU can handle, to be honest with you. But you can see, though, the field is really spreading out at the moment now. There's a lot of LMP2 cars spread all around the circuit. The LMP1 cars still quite close together as they make their way down the back straight. But yes, we have quite a few suggestions coming in with what to sort out. So we will just be right back, because I'm going to try and sort something out. I'm sorry for this. It will just go back to the splash screen, saying that the stream is starting soon. Just bear with me a few moments, and we'll be right back. Okay? Cheers. Apologies for the issues here, everybody. We are just loading back into the session now, so it'll just be another minute or so. And we're going to see whether any of the changes that we've made have come into effect, so we can finally get some smooth racing back on again. Really not sure why it did it all of a sudden. It just started flickering around. I've seen this issue on quite a lot of broadcasts before on iRacing. It's become a known issue recently, so please don't think that we're trying to do anything over here that's untoward, or you know, we've made sure that this all works beforehand. Jack and I have spent the last 3 hours before the broadcast making sure that everything was all sorted, but you know, these things happen with the amount of technology that we're using for these sorts of broadcasts, and of course the strain that it takes on the PCs. The PC itself is fine. I mean, as you can see, the actual stream itself is running perfectly fine. It was getting 60 frames all the way through. It's just that the cars were flickering in and out very intermittently, and it doesn't make for a nice viewing experience. And at the end of the day, that's what we have at the top of our interests. We want to make sure that everybody has the best viewing experience they can. So if you bear with me 2 more minutes, we'll be back in the session and I'll see whether we can get something sorted out for you. Thank you very much for your patience. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for your patience there. We actually have cars moving at 60 frames per second on the screen. Thank you very, very much for being patient with me there. Like I say, I didn't want to go too far into it. I don't want to be sort of confusing people, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we have explained exactly what is going on. Just need to refresh the track map, because, of course, that is not showing up properly on the left-hand side. We've got a couple of bits here that aren't really giving us the right bits of info. Here is David Fuller in 5th place, and I believe we have Jack Werrell back with us as well. Are you there, buddy?
Yes, you do have me back. Still trying to keep busy with everything that's going on. We still have battles up and down the field in pretty much every class. We've got Lewis Ward battling PJ Clayson. That's a Porsche affair for P1 in the GTE class. That's a great little battle developing. We'll catch up with these. We've got Alexi in P1 now coming under pressure from Martin van Loosnoord behind. So we've got amazing battles up and down the field. So there's plenty to look at, and I'm sure we'll be back to normal very, very soon.
Well, here we go then. I did turn down how many visible cars we had, but not by a massive amount, you know. I only turned it down by 10, and it seems to have made a huge difference already. It might be something to do with the caching on here, so it does remember a lot of stuff from the session, so it could be something down to that. You'll see on the track map at the moment, you can only see where the LMP1 cars are. If we click on LMP2, are you ready for this? Look at how spread out these guys are at the moment. Here is your race leader in that class, Josh Cam for XI Racing Orange, doing a great job. Tom Metherell is second for Meraki Racing Blue. And then 4.2 seconds back on him is the other XI car of Brian Holmes, XI Racing number 58, although they actually have been given the number 20 in this race. So that's just down to when you sign up. Kobe Clace is fourth in class for them, with Matthew Molnar only 1.7 seconds behind him. You can just see him in the background with Peter Growles and John Tusting behind him. So it's still quite close in these classes here, Jack. And of course, with the slipstream involved here, it's going to mean that some of these drivers can't really get away over the course of a race.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much like VLN, with obviously the really long dotted just straight at Nürburgring. You're very much like a yo-yo. If you're between two cars, you'll gain on the car in front with obviously the draft off them, but then the car behind you will start pulling up on you and the car in front of you as well. So it's really got to be a point where you've got to manage your driving style, but you don't want to be too aggressive and get out in front, because you know the guys behind you will just start coming back. So it's one of those things. You need to be prepared for what you're going to do. If you're going to make a move and get out in front of a column, you've got to make sure you've got the pace to pull away, because if you don't, you're just going to get right back to where you started. So it's a real tit for tat moment for most of these guys, but it'll open up. There's plenty of time still left in this race, just under 2 hours. So there's going to be plenty of time to overtake and make moves. So definitely not short of action so far, and I don't think we will be for the rest of the race.
Oh, definitely so, mate. It's good to see that there is quite a spread already, though. It means, of course, lots of action on track for everybody involved. Bit of a split there between 16th and 17th in the P2 category. There are actually some GTE cars between them in the running order. That's Bram Van Putten, who is making his way back through. Oh, Anton Dupin is apparently off in the GTE car. Not quite sure what's happened to him there. We'll have a quick look. Let's just go back a little bit. So here he comes then into turn 1 in the number 3 Simracersworld Blue Ferrari. Beautiful looking car, love the Ferrari. It's not often the car of choice. Oh, it just goes around on the brakes ever so gradually as well. And, well, I'm sure he's not the only person to have done that there, eh, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those corners. It's so undulating, you know, you just don't know. It's going to catch you out at one point or another. And if you get that mistake out of the way early on in the race, it's probably best, because you don't want to do that at the end of the race when you're really trying to manage fuel and tyres, and you go and do that. And if you light up the race to get it back around, it's going to cost you a lot more than it'll gain. So you've just got to be careful at this point in the race. If you make a little mistake, like we've seen earlier, it's not going to make a massive difference. It'll just bring you back towards the end of the race. So if you lose a couple of seconds at the start, it's not going to hurt you in a 2 hour, 25-minute race. So yeah, I'm sure these drivers prefer not to make mistakes, but it's one of those things that you can't decide when you make a mistake. If it happens, it happens.
It certainly does.
These guys know what they're doing.
They definitely do. The lead for GTE, by the way, still very close between PJ Claessens and his teammate Lewis Ward for Meraki. This is the Meraki Racing pink car, and the Meraki Racing black car just behind him is Lewis. And these two are really showing everyone how it's done at the moment. We've seen some good formation flying from the Meraki cars in the Simracersworld TCR series in the last few weeks, but well, this is how to do it in GTE cars now, as they make sure they don't slow each other down, they get in the slipstream and they swap back over. As Bram Van Putten is going to be just in the background of the shot there. He's making his way back through with these actual, these are going to be actual positions now between these guys. So while they are in different classes, it's the overall position in the race between these guys.
Yeah, it's all well and good battling your teammate for position in class, but you've got to remember there's also obviously the LMP2 cars, like we can see here, trying to carve their way through the field as well.
Sorry, Jack. Sorry, mate, but Gonzalo Perez has apparently crashed the car. He's had an issue here somewhere. Maybe he's gone in too hot into Porsche curves. Way too hot indeed. And is that going to go in the wall? It is. Oh, it's quite a hard hit. Does he take it back to the pits? Is he going to try and get going again? He's sat there for a moment. I think he's just figuring out what to do. Oh, yeah, he has gone back to the pits. And Anton Dupin had another issue as well in his Ferrari. He's not having a great outing at the moment. Maybe he's got some damage somewhere on the rear. Maybe it's just struggling. He's struggling on the brakes, isn't he? It just keeps going off. Oh, it just goes around on the gravel and into the wall. It's a nightmare, that, because you can't really do much about it, can you?
Now, once a GTE goes, you've got to be incredibly talented or have immense reactions to catch these. It's pretty much most cars in iRacing now. You've got to be really, really on it if you're going to catch a spin. And like I said, he just got unlucky, dipped a wheel in the gravel, and it's a one-way train from there. Sadly, he did collect the wall, but he'll be back out. He'll be back going now. Maybe a slight bit of damage, but that won't compromise him by massive amounts, I don't think. But yeah, he'll be back out, and he'll know what not to do. If you do it once, chances are you won't do it again.
Oh, definitely. And we've got a good battle here going on P1. Wow, very, very close stuff there. That's Fuller trying to go between one of the LMP2 cars and Urco Gonzalez Pecina. Pecina pulls in front there, gets the position. He's now got the P2 car just in front, plays it safe. Brakes a little bit early. And now watch the acceleration difference here as we go on board with Fuller. Look at these P1 cars go. It makes the P2 car look like it's in reverse, doesn't it?
Yeah, these incredible machines. These, obviously, with the energy deployment that they've got available, I'm sure he'll just be holding his finger on that button, get past all the traffic, and hope that it plays a part in slowing the cars behind down. But they seem like they know what they're doing. They've all been pretty on par since the start of the race. But even if you get a bit of traffic in between you and you lose a second, there's going to be draft pretty much everywhere you go. So it's all well and good. You get a little break for the moment in between positions, but it's going to be right back there in a couple of minutes, so there's no point pushing massively hard at this point in the race. But in that one shot, there's every single car or every single class on show, and so you've got an LMP1 overtaking an LMP2 and an LMP2 overtaking a GTE, so there's just so much action. There's nowhere on the track which currently doesn't have a car by the looks of it.
Well, yeah, it's very feisty stuff when all of the classes come together. It's always fun to watch, especially when there's that wonderful accordion effect. Rashid Kassim is not too far behind the car in front here. That's Christoph Weininger, and the Swiss driver is 7th overall at the moment. Gonzalo Perez and Sam Bentham, of course, further down the order. Sam Bentham, actually, I believe, has dropped out of the race. Same with Ryan Walker for Nomad Sim Racing. Anton Dupin is in the pit lane as well. We did have a moment just a minute ago with Martin van Loozenhout, apparently, who it said on the timing software had crashed. This was for the race lead as well. But we get something on our timing screen that says that they've crashed when they go under a certain speed. So I think it was just that, as he slowed down, as he locked up there trying to take the race lead. And Lee Deemer has apparently come to strife as well in the XI Energy Cherry car. Let's have a look what happens to Lee. Oh, he's just lost it on the brakes. Luckily, he doesn't hit anything. Those sausage curbs might have damaged the floor of the car, but do you reckon that thing will be all right from there on, Jack?
We've seen floor damage before. You may lose a couple of mile an hour on the straights, but I'm sure he'll be back on it pretty sharpish. And like I said, we've seen previously with damage like that, you just assess the car for a couple of laps. If you're losing too much time, you'll dive into the pits. If you're not, you'll just stick with it, keep consistent lap times, and just keep on chalking out the laps.
Well, we've just seen pit stops as well starting now for the P1 cars, and Fuller has lost quite a bit of time to Pecina, who has gone up into 5th position now. He's left the pits quite a bit before him. Rashid Kassim in there as well, and Christoph Weininger. So they're going to be battling on their way out of the pits. There's another one of the cars coming out. That's Daniel Merchant for Quantum Racing Green. There's so many Quantum Racing cars out there, it's hard to know which one's which. Gonzalo Perez is also in the pits, but of course from damage after his off before. But it's all starting to spread out a little bit now. We've got drivers like these guys here. This is Matthias de Tige. Ben Henderson is behind him and Craig Jones is ahead, and they're all within a second of each other. So still some close battling going on a bit further down. You can see in the background there Ben just moving out of the way for one of the P2 cars. But slipstreaming in all of these classes, Jack, do you think it's more important in one class than another based on the aerodynamics, or do you think it's just as important across the board?
I think, yeah, there is a slight variation from class to class. GTEs, I know from experience that slipstream is incredibly strong. I haven't driven an LMP1 or an LMP2 car yet, unfortunately, but I'm sure that will come. But I would say the more downforce you have in the car, the more effect slipstream will have. So the LMP1 cars, I think it'll affect the most because they've got the most downforce. But I don't know, it might be the complete opposite. It might be the GTEs with maybe not the same strength of downforce as the LMP1s and the LMP2s, where it's the strongest. Not 100% sure. Obviously, with the GTEs, you've got a bit more class variation. So Yeah, I would probably say that the LMP1s can benefit the most from slipstream, but like I said, I haven't driven them, so it may be the complete opposite.
Well, I've not really been brave enough to try and drive one competitively yet, because I did a couple of laps in one and it scared the life out of me, and I feel like taking the wheel off the mount, because it was just an absolute nightmare. They are incredibly fast cars though, and like you say, these guys, as Lane, our race leader, and Van Loozenor both come into the pits here, we'll keep an eye on how these boys get on, but yeah, it is a crazy bit of kit to drive. Also, actually, I forgot to mention this before, Jack, but apparently the regen on the Audi was reduced, like how much it actually regenerates on the brakes. If anybody doesn't know, they have a massive flywheel system, so basically when they're slowing down, it's like KERS in Formula 1. It basically takes the kinetic energy from the brakes, turns it into a form of power or a charge that they can use in the car, and when it deploys the energy they get extra horsepower and more acceleration. The Audi's ability to sort of recharge that power was reduced by half in a balance of performance update yesterday, so that's why all the LMP1 cars are Porsches.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I know the Porsche previously I heard was the stronger of the two LMP1 cars, and Porsche boost was referred to a hell of a lot. And if the Porsches have been given that upper hand once again, I'm guessing they are the car to go with at the moment. We've seen, obviously, we've got proof that the Porsche is the car to go for. Is every LMP1 car we've currently got out on the track is one of the Porsche 919s. We've got the cars leaving the pits now. This is Pete Harrod for CQR Club. We just saw Alexi Lane and Martin van Loozenord leave the pits as well. So we are at that point in the race where they're deciding what sort of strategy to go on, whether they pit early and avoid a splash and dash at the end, or just pit at their normal rate and then maybe go for a splash and dash at the end, or at the start. So it's a weird one. But yeah, like we said before, these guys know exactly what they're doing. I'm sure they've all got strategies and plans in mind, so there's no real questioning it at this point. We've still got an LMP2 car, whether that was intense defending or maybe a slight bit of anger or trying to get the final bit of heat into the tyres, but it's whatever you want to make it. But yeah, we've seen multiple battles up and down the field, and it's started to spread out. We've got 40 minutes into the race now, and there aren't that many battles. We've still got a battle further back between the two Meraki cars with Lewis Ward and PJ Clayson's. I think they're the closest two cars on track at the moment, Chaz.
It looks like they are as well. Actually, no, Tyler Maxson and his teammate in front there, Robert Odoms for Year 1 Racing. There's actually 3 Year 1 Racing cars in a row, but the other one's 14 seconds up the road from these boys. We're in formation flying at the moment. They're going to make it look nice and pretty for the screenshots, and of course it's going to sound fantastic as well, because what's better than one Porsche 991 RSR with the updated exhaust? Well, 2 of them, of course. And the team, I think, has got about 4 or 5 cars out there on track to date. But Tyler making his way back up the order. Of course, he had an issue early on. He's not going to do it understeering wide like that, but he gets back on with it. You can see the little highlights between the rear lights there. The difference is, we'll actually go on board with Tyler now. Just watch this P1 car come past halfway down this straight. It's just a missile, isn't it? Absolute missile. Flies through, and that's not even the acceleration part after the corner as well. That's at full chat, and it's properly gone. But Tyler has gone past, and here is Henderson in the background. Him and Craig Jones are having a really good scrap, actually, aren't they? Really door-to-door stuff.
Yeah, I know GTEs can be incredibly close, much like the GT3s. But they're so evenly matched now with previous updates. These guys know exactly what they need to be doing. I don't know who wants the position at this point. They were alongside each other. We've got Ben Henderson pulling out of the move going into Indianapolis, probably the smartest decision he could make at this point in the race. If I put my teeth back in, Craig Jones has got the inside line for the very tight right-hander for the run up to the Porsche curves. It looks like Ferrari is going to stay out in front of BMW at this point, but Ben Henderson has got a bit of a run going out of the really tight right-hander, heading towards the Porsche curves. He's still got that run almost alongside, half a car length, not quite door-to-door yet. Pulls out of the move once again. Incredible defending from Craig Jones in that Ferrari 488 GTE. But I'm not sure either of them can decide who wants to position at this point. They're both going for the same piece of tarmac, and there doesn't seem to be much change.
Oh, as Pacini gets held up a little bit there, just behind them. Henderson wanted to get out of the way and try and make sure that the P1 car pried the door open for him, but all it's done is open up the gap now to Craig Jones there. But you're right, it is good defending by Craig at the moment, and from my experience of racing with him, he's a very consistent driver. He does a great job at finishing races, just grabbing points here and there where he needs to. It looks like he's doing a good job of that at the moment. 15th in class, of course, but so much can change over the course of a race. Kevin Bolland has gone off. He's had a bit of an issue here in the Porsche that's covered in I don't know what. We'll have a look as he goes through, ironically, the Porsche curves. Should be home territory. Oh, he's completely offline there. He's lost it on the rear. And it quite gradually goes round. Manages to save it again. And there you go. He goes back on with his day. And a name that that you mentioned before, actually, Kino Bourguignon. He's in 5th in class at the moment. I was quite impressed with how quickly you pronounce this name, because I hadn't even read it before then. But of course, it's your favourite livery, mate. It's the Flemish Simsports livery.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes him that much faster. But yeah, so he is, where is he in class? He's P5 in class at the moment, with Dries just ahead in the Dynamics Racing yellow BMW car, much yellow about it. But he will be once again just sizing up his opposition. We've still got battles further back, or further forward, I should say. We have a look to this to the LMP2 class. This is between Jeremy Hessels with Edward
Raprojet
just behind, as they're trying to let what is the LMP1 car of Martin van Loosnoord, I believe, just go by. We've got Tom Metherell trying to negotiate a bit of Porsche traffic. I was looking up the inside there, the gap quickly disappeared. I can't exactly put blame there.
At least he didn't make contact.
Yeah, I think Tom did make the right decision trying to pull out the move. I think he just made it a little too late and got caught out on the brakes. We've got Daniel Merchant going over the start.
Okay.
Oh, I believe that's hardware issue by the look. Whoa, okay. I think that might have been a hardware issue, as that's not the design line going into turn 2.
Yeah, you can say that again, mate. You can definitely say that again. We just had Ian in the chat just saying that he can't believe the size of the LMP1 car compared to the M8. And let's face it, Ian, anything's small compared to a BMW M8. We've all seen the memes. There's LMP2 cars in the pits, by the way. And just before this, it was an Excite 1-2 between Josh Cam and Brian Holmes. But we'll see whether they come out in front. Of course, Clays is showing ahead of him at the moment. He has stayed out on track for an extra lap. So what difference that will make before or after the pit stops, we'll see. The car goes up in the air there for tyres. Trust me, it is there. It's just behind the little towery thing. But it won't let me change it. No matter what TV camera you go on at Le Mans, it doesn't change from this angle. Here is Lee Deemer, who is going to stay out as well. He's in the other end, Excite Energy car. Just like Jack said, I need to put my teeth back in, don't I? Well, I'm a lot older than Jack, so I've got more excuse. Jeremy Hessels is the next car on track. We saw him just go past Raprojet before. And Deemer has now flown past all of these cars that are in the pit lane. Josh Cam has come back out. If I click on the right one, we will see him. He's, of course, second in class now to Clays, but Clays is only just, actually, on the back straight. You can see him on the map there. He's coming up as number 9. The blue dot on his own here, now with a green ring around it. It doesn't look like that much difference, to be honest, mate, does it?
No, nothing major, really. They're definitely closing up. We've got, obviously, we've now got started to get the P2s in the pits. So we know from the initial sort of stage of pit stops for the LMP1, say pitted between lap 10 and 11, and we've now got to lap 14. We've got the LMP2 cars pitting, so we're starting to figure out a strategy early on. We've got, yeah, that's Peter. Is that Peter Growls? Yes, it is, in the Tuk Tuk Patrol LMP2 machine. He's trying to get past GTE traffic while also trying to let past LMP1 traffic. So it's really busy pretty much everywhere we look.
And there's your direct comparison as well, by the way, between the Porsche and the M8 as well, the size difference. It is crazy, because, I mean, that was the focusing moment there for Pacini, wasn't it? Wow, he really didn't want to go that side, and the P2 car wanted to hold his line, but, whoa, that would have scared the life out of anyone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely, going at that pace. The closing speed alone must be rather drastic. We've got Adam Delmont trying to put Edward Raprojet under a slight bit of pressure. He's now going alongside, going down the Mulsanne straight. Will he get him on the brakes going into the second of the chicanes? I believe have we gone past the second chicane? No, he tucks back in before he even gets to the braking zone for the second chicane. Gets hard on the brakes, looks for the apex, gets it through there nice and cleanly, and that's a perfect lead from Adam Delmont. He kept it clean, plenty of room on the outside and got it done. It's already started to build a gap, Chaz.
Yeah, he's done a great job there, and Adam actually was a late entrance to this race as well. He wasn't even registered on the sheet that we got sent. He only registered slightly before it. Tom Giesens has had an issue on track. I don't like to name and shame and show people, but it's stuff that's going on circuit, so we have to see it. Oh, it's just over-rotated on the way in, and around goes the Stage 1 Racing BMW. Glenn Van Parijs has also had an issue, and Andy Scott had one at the same moment, so I'm hoping that this isn't a coming together between two cars. So here's Glenn Van Parijs, loses it. The P1 car's going to come in as well. Oh, the Ferrari just drives straight into him. Hiya, mate, how you doing? Oh, that's not a way to meet a rival on track, but he gives him the courtesy and lets him get out of the way before he carries on. It's nice of him, isn't it? But bit of a nightmare there. Oh, Kobe Clays, by the way, P2 car in the lead in the pits now.
So we are at that point. So it's lap 14, lap 15 is when the P2 starts to come in. We haven't seen any pit stops for the GTE cars, or we haven't seen any scheduled pit stops for P2 for GTE cars. We've had a couple dive into the pits from damage and various little issues, but I think they'll be able to go probably for double the amount of the LMP1 cars, possibly even double the amount of the LMP2 cars with the size of the fuel tanks. Obviously, they're not running such complicated machinery and engines and everything in those cars. They are, well, not by any means simplistic, but compared to the spaceships of the LMP1 cars, they really are. If we have a look a little further down the order, the LMP2 class, even though everybody's dived into the pit, so we've still got this. We still have that battle for the Meraki cars, the two Porsches. We've got literally battles everywhere. That you can pick out almost a battle between every pair of cars on the track. We've got Lee Deemer losing a few positions there. Not 100% what happened to.
Oh, is he out of fuel? Surely that's out of fuel, isn't it? Because he was going to do an extra lap, wasn't he? You've got to think that thing's out of fuel. It looks like there's no wheel on the front right. I don't know whether that's just my screen or something going wrong, but that's definitely. Let's listen. Yeah, that was a car out of fuel. Never mind, he's gone. Louis Klinkhammer also coming in here with one of the GTE cars in front of him. So maybe we are going to see some of the GTE cars coming in, because that's Glenn Van Parijs. I don't know whether he's got damage from his incident or something, but it's certainly a bit early for that. I think Lee Deemer definitely ran out of fuel though, mate. It was a risk taking that extra lap, and it may have cost him quite a good result here. As you said as well, Lewis Ward and PJ Clayson still at this in the two Meraki Porsches, but I know that Andy Hopley will be very happy to see that in the chat, of course, one of the team managers for Meraki Racing. And they're doing a great job at the moment, aren't they, mate? It looks like the Renault Lagunas from the British Touring Car Championship in '97. It was always those two out front. Yeah,
I thought pretty much exactly the same at VLN. It not necessarily them being out in front. Probably going to get a bit of stick from that in the chat. But the Meraki cars, they do remind me of the Renault Lagunas, just for the colour combinations. But it's great to see that it's once again a very Formula 3-esque race, much like yesterday. Two teammates battling tooth and nail, not necessarily for position at this point. I think they're just trying to work off each other, gain a bit of toe. We've just had a change for the lead. That's Alexi O'Lane. I'm not 100% sure whether he was letting Martin van Loosnord by, but it's all well and good Martin getting in front, but Alexi will be making the most of his boost and seeing whether he can do anything in the draft. We're looking at the position change now. Martin just dives to the inside. Alexi decides that the position's not worth defending. Keeps it nice and steady on the brakes. He does get slightly caught out by Martin with Martin on the brakes. I think Alexi was expecting Martin to brake a little later, but they've found themselves back together.
Kobe Clays, by the way, has gone around here. He's had an issue. Let's have a quick check on what's happened here for Kobe Clays. For some reason, it's looking away from him. Here he is. Oh, he's just gone in deep. Oh, and it's gone around on the exit. We're going to see that a lot over the course of today, but he's got to wait now, or hopefully he'll wait for cars to come through. Some of the other P2 cars. Wow. The LMP2 colour code at the moment may be blue, but I think some of them were brown at that point. Michael Blake's gone off as well. He kisses the wall. He's not going to be happy with that. Michael Blake, of course, the owner of Simortal, that are part of the Team Mad team, makes some fantastic iRacing models. Basically takes some of the even scale extric cars, actually, and converts them into iRacing-esque cars with the same stickers, same liveries on and everything. It is really amazing. Do check out Simortal on Facebook. He does an incredible job. He's actually done a couple for me as well, and I can't believe how much they genuinely look like the iRacing car itself. But Van Loosenholt then has done the fastest Sector 7, which isn't something you should normally say on a broadcast, of the race. And he's really flying now for G-Drive Racing Exemia. But who would have thought any other way on this one, Jack? Because, you know, we saw that G-Drive were getting their lineup ready for this one, and we knew they were going to be a force to be reckoned with. Of course, not going well for Bram van Putten at the moment in P2, but he's back up to 14th place, so he's not last in class at the moment.
No, he's keeping it on the track, and that beautiful G-Drive livery surely makes them go a bit quicker, like we've mentioned earlier. Quick, nice-looking livery makes them go a bit quicker. But yeah, obviously these guys, they're not even halfway through the race yet. They've still got to finish their second stint. Well, in theory, their second stint, and hand it over to their teammates. So it's if they make a mistake at the start, it doesn't really matter to a massive amount. We are getting to the point where if you make a mistake now, you will still be sort of haunted by the defect of it for the rest of the race. Just clipping the gravel, that's rather brave. We've seen people get caught out by dipping their outside wheel onto the gravel. But he keeps it pointing in the right direction, going down what I refer to as the second straight, which isn't, funnily enough, straight. Just the drive, the drive towards Indianapolis, and he's in control at this point. I'm not 100% sure whether he's taking time out of Carlos ahead, but I'm definitely know he's starting to gain time on or pull away from the car behind. But much like his teammate, he's got to the point now where he's found himself a rhythm, and he's just pushing forward now.
Yeah, he's really he's cracking on. I've just noticed as well that Lewis Ward has lost second place. I think it was just in the pit stop, but as we go back to live, I think these guys... Oh, no, they have changed back on the pit stops. It seemed like it was changing over very quickly on my timing screen, like they were battling on track for some reason. It kept going back and forth, so I do apologise for that little mistake. But PJ Claessens is currently leading the GTE class, and I don't think he's pitted actually yet. Jack, him and Beef Bourguignon haven't pitted either.
No, PJ or Bourguignon have not pitted, just as yet, but I'm sure that will either be this lap or the next one. I doubt they'll be able to stretch it for 2 laps. We've seen already cars fall foul of maybe underestimating the amount of fuel saving or overestimating the amount of fuel saving you can do. So I'm guessing there's no point probably fuel saving. We did mention it at the start of the race. Will fuel saving play a massive part in the race? And I've been proven wrong. I didn't think it would, but it definitely has. It definitely has. We've already had one car had to tow to the pit lane, only probably 400 meters away from pit entrance. But it's just at that point, you run out of fuel. There's nothing you can do about it. You're just a passenger at that point. We have had an issue for Lewis Ward further back. If we have a look at that.
Yeah, it's just as we were talking about. I mean, it is definite commentator's curse. Is he going to go around on the brakes? Bingo. Oh no, he does. And then, as he gets on the power, he's done it again. He's put it in the wall as well. I heard you grit your teeth then. I did the same. It's horrible when it goes towards the wall and you know there's not much they can do about it. Robert Odoms has also had an issue in the Year 1 racing Porsche. Oh, this is going to be big round here if it goes wrong at the Porsche curves. Oh, he's done a Bolland and it's gone out of shape. Oh, he's just straight lined it into the wall. It's like he slammed on the brakes, and as you'd expect with a car with no ABS, not really a lot happened. He gets back going again, but not a desired line through there, to be honest, is it? To be frank, I do apologise to Keanu Reeves, by the way, for the nickname I gave him. I don't want to be taking the mick out of people's names, but he's doing well at the moment. He's second in class for Flemish Simracersworld. He's got one of the P2 cars coming up behind him now. Hopefully he doesn't damage the very pretty livery that Jack is a huge fan of, as we know by now. And he's actually coming in the pits now, so we'll see how well he holds his position. But it's good to see a couple of Fords out there, to be honest. Actually, you know what? I think he's only one of 2. Kim Bayer is the other one in the other Flemish Sim Sports car. So it's good to see a couple of them out there, isn't it? Because they don't really get represented that much at the moment.
No, they're obviously in the Simracersworld GT Pro series, and they've just undergone what I think is a rather drastic sort of rebranding. They used to run an orange and chrome sort of livery with a spec map, as we've seen in the GT Pro series. But I think this livery, they've done such a good job. I think some teams have got jealous, because I have seen a couple of other gold, black and red cars out on track today. I believe there's one in the LMP2 class. I can't remember exactly who it is on first glance, but I know I know they're not the only car running that sort of outfit for this race. He's coming not exactly under pressure, but it'll be in the back of his mind with LMP1s and LMP2s behind, going into the probably one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit at the end of the Mulsanne Straight, going on to the second straight. As he is now put another lap down on the leader. That's Martin van Loosenoord going by with Alexi Lane once again has closed back up. The gap was only the gap was 2.5 seconds a couple of laps ago, but he's brought it down to 1.5 as he is gaining. But that could have been traffic, Chaz. We mentioned that earlier. I think traffic has started to mess around with timings again.
Yeah, it certainly is becoming an issue for some of these drivers now, and you know, this is the point where it starts to really affect them. Tyler Maxson coming in here with a bit of a bent rear wing on that Porsche. Not quite sure whether that was from the earlier incident that he had, but he's cracking on now. And here's Semil Yagizoglu in the BMW. Looks like just a standard black livery, but I tell you what, that M8 does just look good in black, doesn't it? It looks really, really mean and powerful. Yeah,
it doesn't just look it really is. I've had minimal experience in the BMW, but I sure as hell know if you can nail that car, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And he's just, it's like he's floating it around the corners. It's a very well balanced car, and it's a very Marmite car. Some people like it, some people hate it, and the sound, I think I quite like it, not as much as the Porsches. Speaking of the year one cars as well, they've got it right. They've got a very bright livery, so you can't miss it, and you definitely can't miss the sound because those Porsches scream anywhere they go.
Oh yeah, they certainly do. And just a little bit of information on the BMW M8 as well. I know that it's put a couple of sim racing teams into complete bankruptcy because of the amount of paint and vinyl that you need to cover the thing. Actually, they couldn't afford the materials to do it, so that's probably why they've saved from painting the thing, the Dynamics Racing yellow car. But just in the chat as well, Hendrik de Grave was saying that they're testing the Ford for the 24 hour, so using it as a bit of a test session at the moment, as Yagizoglu there flashing his lights at one of the 48 Quantum Racing cars that are out on track at the moment. And he's also had a bit of a conversation with our Ian Roots, of course, of Simracersworld, saying that the Flemish livery looks to be a take on the Belgian flag, and it is. It's been confirmed by them as well that it is a bit of a take on the Belgian flag. So even more ways to tie this into the whole Simracersworld brand. We know a lot of Belgian drivers that are involved in the community and the streams. It's great to see that the Belgians are being even more represented. I'm just going to take a quick look back up the order. Kobe Clay's here, who just behind him here, Jack, has Peter Growls again, and it always seems that Peter's constantly on the attack in the LMP2 class.
Well, he is in a tuk-tuk patrol LMP2 car, so he's definitely going to be on it. So yeah, it's one of those things where, like we said at the start, you're going to be a yo-yo. You're going to catch on some laps, but you're also going to lose a few seconds on some laps. It's all about the draft and all about traffic, and it's one of those things. We've seen it in real life, which is why iRacing is so good. It relates to real life, to such a massive amount. So we've seen, like you mentioned, Peter Growls. He's been very close. He's dropped back by a couple of seconds, and then he's just gained it back again. So it's all about sort of mistake management. If you know you're going to make a mistake, make sure you do it early on. But yeah, he's on it. He knows what he's doing, and he's slowly starting to catch class ahead. But I would probably say if I was Growls at this point, obviously you're getting almost to the halfway point in the race, where I'm guessing the LMP2 cars will once again dive into the pits to swap drivers if they've got a second driver waiting. If I were Peter Growls, I'd just stick behind the Dynamics Racing car and just sort of let the race come to me and dive into the pits as and when you need to. So there's no need to go into a crazy battle only halfway through the race. Just let the race play out and see what you can do.
It certainly is the case, mate. You've hit the nail on the head once again there. Of course, Jack will be releasing his audiobook in the coming weeks when he gets the permission from Amazon Prime. I'm just going to take a quick back look through this now, because Bram Van Putten has apparently had an issue here coming into Indianapolis, it looks like. Not quite sure whether he's just going to lose it on the way in on the brakes. It's a scary place to lose it. We've seen a couple of guys go off there. He's locked it up. Doesn't go into a wall, though. Does a nice job. And I'm sorry, Jack, but Alexi Lane has also had an issue at the similar corner as well, actually. Is it when he's on throttle, or is it into Arnage? Onto the brakes he goes. We've seen a couple of cars lock up here, especially if he hit the curb. Yep. He did just what Van Loosenoord did earlier as well, but luckily not into a wall. Kobe Claes also had an issue. This is almost like the crash recap show. Hey, Chris Coughlin, good to see you, mate. CQR teammate of mine. And Kobe Oh, Kobe indeed.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Yep, so many times people losing it there, and he's got to wait now for the cars to go through. Quick reverse, a sort of 2-point turn, and on he goes. Nice recovery that, to be fair, as well, not to get involved. And he's just now coming out of said corner with Growls behind him. But Josh Cam's still leading the P2 class at the moment, doing a cracking job for Excite iRacing.
Yeah, 100%. He's got a quicker lap than anybody else, and he's lapping. If we have a look back, he laps 3 seconds quicker than Tom Rettel's Meraki LMP2 car behind. That is slightly off the pace by the looks of it. Is Tom Rettel? I hate to, like you say, name names, but he might have just had a slight lock up into one of the major corners on that lap. But he's lapping quicker than anybody else in his class at the moment, so that only means good things. He'll only be pulling away, and obviously Tom Rettel, I'm sure whatever happened to him, he's really wanting to get a bit of vengeance on that, pushing hard. Probably knowing Tom, he's seen that LMP1 car and he said, yes, I'm going to keep up with that.
Yeah, he's just going to get his foot planted and think, yeah, I've got the same amount of downforce as that, it'll do. But he's trying, he's trying. One car I do want to look at that I've not given much bias to at the moment, mainly because there's no livery on it, but my teammate at CQR Club, Pete Harrod, in the 116 car, I believe he's doing the race solo at the moment, because I had a message a moment ago from our team in our little group chat that said, who's running with Pete today? And everybody said, well, he's not asked me to, so Pete's going solo for this one by the look of it. I think there are a couple of drivers out there that are doing the same, but he's up in third at the moment overall, of course, and in P1 as well. It's quite a demanding car to drive, but yeah, doing a great job going solo, isn't he? Oh, by the way, here we go. Andy Scott has apparently had an issue in the Quantum Racing yellow car. What's happened here? Is he going to over-rotate on the way in? Yep, that curb's caught a couple of people out so far, hasn't it? We saw the BMW go around before as well.
Yeah, there's definitely hot spots. It's almost like auto addiction at Nürburgring. They know exactly where people are going to crash. They know exactly where the action's going to be. So if you were to put a camera at the end of the Mulsanne and at each of the chicanes on the Mulsanne, it just seems to be where the curbs just, they are very much car killers, these curbs. It doesn't look like they've caught anybody out to a massive extent. Maybe a half spin, a full spin, sometimes even into the wall, as we've seen with one of the Meraki cars. But everybody seems to have got away with it. We've still got Peter Growls hot on the coattails of Kirby Class in the Dynamics Racing Optica machine. Back down the Mulsanne straight. I'm sure at this point you're trying to put your foot through the floor, but there's nothing much the car can give you. Obviously with the P1s behind, it looks like quite the gap, 2-3 seconds to the LMP1 behind. Come out of that chicane and it'll be right on top of you, so you really can't underestimate these LMP1 cars. As you hear the hybrid whizzing away in the background, just as we've got a slight little audio blip from the LMP1 behind. Well, we didn't hear it that time by, but there we go, comes out of the chicane. The acceleration that you've mentioned, you can just see him tearing seconds out of the LMP2 car. Like I said, they are just absolute rockets. What I would have loved to see is just one Audi in the mix, just to see how the Audi shapes up with this previous update. And we might have found a hidden gem. If these Porsches are ballistically quick, that's great. But what if there was one Audi? If he was storming out in front, I'm sure that would make for an absolutely amazing race.
Well, I must admit, actually, as well, some people in the chat did correct me before that I got it the wrong way round. Actually, it wasn't the Audi that had the regen reduced; it was the Porsche that had it reduced. So they didn't want people in Audis, so they've locked it out of this race. So everyone must run Porsches, basically to make sure there's no unfair advantage, because they believe the balance of performance to be incorrect. But we'll see what happens from that. There was a nice little wiggle of the wheels there from Wynesia, just saying, thank you for letting me through, my friend, and off I go. And that Porsche certainly does. Off it goes into the distance. We've got David Fuller in the wall for Quantum Racing Red, and he's going to go straight back to the pits. Stephen DeWolf has also had an issue, it seems. They're not related issues. Stephen DeWolf here in the P2 car. Is it curbs again? Looked a bit out of shape there. Oh, he's locked it up. It's gone straight on, bounced over the curbs. They're really aggressive curbs as well. And here's what happened to David Fuller in the same replay. How good am I? Over the rumble strip. Oh, wow, something's gone terribly wrong there. It's just straight line, doesn't it? That's another failure. Yeah, it must be. Oh, Anton Dupin as well has also had an issue in the Ferrari. Again, Indianapolis is another one where we've seen people going around a lot on the brakes. Another curb on the power. Bit of gravel. Oh, that's going to hurt. That's a big one. And that's almost a race-ending incident, that. Hopefully you can get that repaired. Nice spin, though, to recover. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. You've got to style it out, haven't you?
Amazingly, that was only tyre smoke. I was expecting an engine to go from that. But I don't know how Anton has done that, but he's back in the race. I'm sure he'll be diving into the pits this time by. At this point, do you hand it over to your second driver if you've got one waiting? I probably would. You're basically at the halfway point in the race. I would. I'd hand it over and just let your teammate do all the work towards the end. We've got an Excite Energy car of Adam Delmont now pushing on to Luca Becker in the Archer Brothers Esports Blue car, going through the first chicane. Runs slightly wide. That'll be picking up an incident point. I can't remember the exact limit for this race before you get gifted a penalty from Ian Roots, I believe. He'll gift you a nice little penalty to enjoy for the rest of the race, as they're trying to negotiate some GTE traffic. Really, where you don't want to meet it was that Matthias de Tige or Gregory Franks.
It was Matthias de Tige, my friend. Nicely spotted. That was a very scary moment there as the BMW went around. Lost it on his own.
Yeah.
But wow, that was very, very close indeed. Very, very close, but luckily got away with it. There is a battle going on a bit further up, actually, by the way. Oh, hang on, he's got off my screen. There he is. Philip Eckert, who we haven't really looked at, to be honest, at the moment, in the Racing Centre Vibe Sports car. He is 20th overall, and just ahead of him there is Carlos Ruiz, who I believe has just overtaken him, actually, and is off into the distance. And for some reason, Carlos has got his name after his full name again in iRacing somehow. Not quite sure how he's managed that, but must be a username or something.
Trying to show off his Twitter handle, trying to drag everybody in.
It probably is, actually, you know. You might not be wrong there.
Is that David Fuller dropping down the order? Was he the one? Oh yeah, he had that hardware lockup, what I believe was a hardware lockup. He is sadly out of the race now. We've got replay for PJ Clay.
Guess what's going to happen here?
Does he get collected by an LMP2? No, the LMP2 goes behind curb. Ooh, nowhere to go. He did a great job of slowing it down.
Yeah.
Even more courteous. Both trying to let each other by. Eventually decide who wants to go first, and PJ's now back out in front. Obviously, he's got the LMP2 car trying to work his way past. But it's great to see these guys, even though PJ wasn't exactly the offender in that incident. He was kind enough even just to chuck it in reverse and go against the flow of traffic, just to let the LMP2 get back onto the racing line and get going again.
Like
now got even more LMP2s to go by. Go ahead, Jazz.
Well, like you say, just very, very courteous, and let's hope he can do the same with these P2 cars that are coming up behind him now. I'm sure it's going to be a very natural process in the Porsche, but he's still leading the GT class though, so he's doing a great job. His teammate Lewis Ward is actually 30, no, that's the wrong part of the screen. Chaz, read the right bit and you might get it correct. He's 9.3 seconds back, so Lewis is here as the cameraman nearly falls over, spinning around that quickly. But you know, they're 17 seconds clear of everybody else in class, so they're really flying. They really are. And it was Carlos Ruiz and, of course, Philip Eckert that are so close together in the P2 class. I did notice as well that in P1, Rashid Kassim is only 3 seconds ahead of Christoph Weinesia. And Christoph really pushing, but Rashid has got some really, really good pace. Oh, there's a car off. Peter Growls. Well, he's been close, he's been far away, and now he's been off as well, Jack.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like we said, when we first looked at this battle, you are very much a yo-yo in between these cars. If you make one mistake, you'll drop back. But Peter, I'm sure he'll get back on it. He's been using all the track by the looks of it, collecting a cone on the way into the braking zone. Was that a lock-up and then maybe a bit of curb assisted, or was that just a lock-up and carried straight on into the gravel?
I think that was a lock-up, but I also think that was... they told me I can't enter an LMP2 car in the Paris-Dakar. Watch this. But he's done all right. Rashid Kassim back in the pits there, and Geordie Racer, who I believe is David Fuller, has just commented on the chat saying, that moment when your Oculus Rift decides that it cannot find your play area through the Porsche curves. So it was a hardware failure, and probably one of the worst ones you can get as well. Imagine going blind through the Porsche curves. That is not a desired moment I ever want to experience, to be honest with you.
No, my eyes are normally closed going through the Porsche curves anyway, because I'm not scared of them. But I'm sure when you're fully expecting to know where you need to be going, and that speed in an LMP1 car, if that goes wrong, there's only one way you're going, and that's straight into the wall. But it was a massive hit, and if he hasn't got the hardware issue fixed, like he says on the overlay software, it does say he's out, which is such a shame for David. But he's taken part. He got an hour of the race done, which is absolutely amazing, and he was definitely not short of action for any of it. We've got Kobe Class slowly catching up to the tail end of John Tusting. He's in the draft, but not to the same extent as I was expecting. He might have a bit of damage, maybe. We have seen aero damage on these LMP2 cars can make a massive difference. Hasn't gained much time through the first chicane. John Tusting now 7/10 up the road. These guys have got a 30-second gap to the next car behind, so they're very much in a world of their own at this point. And they are very similar liveries, both black in colour, but well, on my screen they're both black in colour, but they're not the same team. We've got John Tusting has got a seat for Quantum Racing purple, and Kobe Class in the Dynamics Racing Optica sheet just behind. Still not gained massive amounts, only 6/10 between them. Going down the straight once again, back in the draft is Kobe heading towards the very heavy braking zone at the end of the Mulsanne. We have had an issue for Lee Deemer. I don't know whether you've seen that as well, Chaz. Let's go back to see what's happened to him.
Yep, just on it now, mate. It wasn't letting me scroll back up to the incident, and there's still stuff going on, so it won't let me scroll to it. Here he is. There we go. We finally got there. And is this going to be a Peter Grells? Oh, we're just a bit too hot into there, and not enough steering lock. And oh, once again, if I had a quid. Honestly,
every time someone's done that, you would be minted. It's a very Flemish Sim Sports-esque Excite car, that, isn't it? Jesus, that's a gobful. But
it is.
yeah, that's.
Oh,
that's
you what, mate? You what, mate? Has gone round. Sorry to cut in on you there, mate, but hopefully you what, mate, hasn't hit a wall here. Oh wow, look at that! It just snapped on the brakes. Wow, it really went around, didn't it? Oh, nice spin. He tried to style it out.
Did the right thing though. Saw the LMP2 coming and throws it the right way. Clever driving by Seb. He knows which way to throw it. He's now got his teammate just ahead, which is that Matthias de Tige just ahead? Gregory Franks, sorry. Pardon me, Gregory Franks now just up the road. So I'm sure these guys, probably not quite the circumstances they wanted to work together, but it's what they've been given. So I'm sure they'll be at this point if Gregory Franks either slows down or Seb starts to speed up again. They'll just be working together, keeping it clean, and working off each other as well. Franks thinks that it's Formula Drift going through the fourth chicane. He did an absolutely amazing job of keeping that pointed in the right direction. I know these cars can be quite forgiving, but wow, what a job by Greg. Oh
yeah, he's. I've seen Greg racing quite a couple of the GT series, and he certainly knows car control like the back of his hand. He's a very accomplished racing driver in the world of iRacing, and he's going to gain a place here as Fuller is still in the pit lane, or he might do anyway. There you go. Just pops past him, so does Herbert. But it's good to see that these guys are still out on track together. It is always nice, actually, when you're in these sorts of events and you see your teammates out there. It's quite a nice little sort of reunion for you out on track. Matthias de Tige in the other Simracersworld car, a bit further down here in 39th overall, 15th in class, as Carl Hardy comes into the pits. We haven't really looked at this car a lot tonight, the Result Clothing iRacing team car, but what a livery that is.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking that. It's a very, very nice livery. It's unique, but I just think it works. The colour combinations, and it really goes with almost the air. If the air were to hit the front of that car, it almost goes with the airflow over the car. So someone we haven't seen for a while. I know he's well out in front. Martin van Loosnord.
Yes.
He might have. 10 seconds is the gap on the. 7.5 seconds. It decided to jump around a little. So he's really found his point, and what a point to look at Martin van Loosnord as he throws it through what's supposed to be the slowing area for pit exit or pit entrance, sorry, but he decides just to fly it through there. He jumps into the pits. I'm guessing, I'm not 100% sure whether he's got another driver. He's got Alexi following him in the fiercely forward LMP1 car. So we've got the top two in LMP1 class diving into the pits. We've got a 12-second gap behind for Pete Harrod, who also dives into the pits.
Oh, locks up.
Yeah, very last minute sort of, oh god, there's a pit limit.
Yep.
But is this the point where LMP1 cars have got to dive into the pits for fuel?
I reckon so, mate. I reckon so. It's they may have a couple more stops, or maybe, well, I'd say probably even 2 more stops than some of the other guys. Maybe just 1. You don't know really till we get to close to the end. There's been a couple of issues here. The guy with my favourite name in the race, Semil Yagizoglu, has had an issue in the BMW that they can't afford to paint. Are we going to see this again? Oh, by the way, actually, I said if I had a quid for everyone that spun it here, my teammate Chris Coughlin said I'd have £6.55, but make that £7.80 as Semil Yagizoglu parks in the world's most expensive car park and manages to get it back on. We've had Edward Dismay at the Ford chicane, it seems. Turns it in. It's easy to unbalance the car here because of the weight distribution. Oh, he's done what is... Oh, someone else did that before where they clipped the curb, but they didn't end up on that side of the circuit. Tell you that. Anton Dupin's also had an issue. Anton's had a couple of issues in this one so far. He's got the bonnet back from somewhere after he spun it earlier. Looks like he's out of shape around the Porsche curve. Slows it down in the P2 car. Oh, contacting into the wall, and it's wedged in the wall.
Ouch.
Really, really wedged in the wall as well. And Tom Giesens has also had another issue. We're going back through. This is a crash report. Chaz's 10-minute crash report. Are we going to see another spin at Indy? Yep.
You'll love this one. Edward May has also had a slight incident further
Yeah,
back, so,
he's had another one. Oh, that's an engine. Yeah, the engine's gone. And that is going to be... Now it's become a soapbox racer. And it's, well, it's got, at least it's got good brakes. But unfortunately, Edward May will need a new engine. Now Nick Sherman's just coming out the pit lane there in the Simracersworld LMP2, LMP1 car. And it's Jeroen Kweekel who has taken over, by the way, in G-Drive. Now, he was very quick in qualifying. I believe he was the one that put it on pole, actually. And Ollie Slade has taken over in the Fiercely Forward car. What do you reckon these two will get up to then, Jack?
If I know Ollie, he will be full send. Full send for Fiercely Forward. He will be going at it. I know he's a very quick, very clean driver. He knows exactly what he needs to do at this point. He is no stranger to being in the top 5 of his class. So he'll have his endurance head on still. We've had a major incident further back by the looks of it. We've had 2 cars apparently crashing within what 2/10 of each other on the incident report. So we'll see what happened here.
So it's Winey's, yeah?
Yes, in the LMP1 car. Does he?
Oh! Who was that? That was one of the Porsches, wasn't it? That was Van Parijs.
That was Glenn Van Parijs.
What happened to Glenn then? So he avoids the P2 car. Oh, he's gone off. Oh, I really hope that... No, Glenn, no. Oh, wow. I was hoping that it wasn't the case. Adam Delmont's also had an issue for Excite.
By the looks of it, it did look like Glenn did everything he could to slow it down. Everything was locked up. Ooh,
oh, that's going to hurt.
Rouge.
Oh, rather you than me. Oh, just kisses the wall. I thought he was going to keep it out of the wall then. That would have been very impressive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But Adam Delmont back on the road. Obviously, with that Glenn Parijs Christoph Weininger battle, crash. I'm guessing those two definitely wasn't a battle. Probably a battle for who wants to go highest in the air. But those two will definitely be in the pits now, picking up all the repairs they can. We've still got Lewis Ward in P2. PJ Clayton's his teammate, 25 seconds up the road now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the battle box to show us the car in front, but for some reason it won't let me. So we're going to have to scrap that for now. But yes, 25-second difference. PJ Clayton's doing a great job. Of course, you can see there that Lewis Ward has made the NASCAR adjustment to the rear wing of his car, so he's got a bit more left downforce than right. So it's going to be good at the left-handers, maybe not so good at the right-handers. Tom Metherell has also had a crash, so it goes from sort of bad to slightly more bad for Meraki into here again. Oh, put another quid in the meter, Chris. We've got £10.50 on the board. That's Tom Metherell there losing that, and he gets back on. Straight on with it, though. No cars around him, really, so nice and safe as he gets back in. I'm going to start charging people rent for that corner, honestly. Here's a battle. Here's a battle then between John Tusting and that's Adam Delmont in front here. And John playing it safe at the moment. I mean, as the tyres go off in these cars, do you think they're really going to be that unstable into corners like Indianapolis?
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because, you know, the car that you're battling is going to be in exactly the same situation. So I'm sure you're so focused on keeping up with the car ahead. At that point, it's sort of just, it's a blur of what you're doing. It just sort of comes naturally. And yeah, I'm sure tyres will start to drop off at this point. Obviously, these guys have still got to make their second pit stop, so those tyres will start to degrade by now. But yeah, I'm sure you can think about tyre management, but you know, all the cars you're battling, they're all going to be in the same boat, so there's nothing major about worrying about tyres because yeah, everybody else is going to be running the same sort of strategy. So yeah, it's one of those things. You can think about it and you won't gain anything, but if you don't think about it, you may miss something. So you've got to find that fine line in between tyre management and pushing your car hard. As it looked like John Tusting got slightly out of shape going through the first little chicane.
Just as I click away from him as well.
Yeah, commentator's curse. As soon as we start talking about John Tusting, he starts to make a mistake. But kept it under control, kept it pointing in the right direction. He'll now focus on making inroads onto Adam Delmont ahead, Jazz.
He certainly will. And what I'm going to do for everybody now as well, just a very quick one, we're going to show you the classes bit by bit then, and on the track map you will see this as well. So Jerome Queekle leads the way in LMP1 at the moment from Ollie Slade for Fiercely Forward. Pete Harrod in this solo effort as well is in 3rd place, with Tito Granher, big fan of mine, in the Banzu RX Flow car in 4th position, and Nick Shermans is in 5th. Now if you look at the screen on the right hand side where the map is, you'll see the crazy spread of LMP2 cars. You can see 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the back straight. This is Josh Cam leading the race, with Tom Metherell still in 2nd after that little spin earlier on. And then Luca Becker, who has gained 10 places up to 10th overall and 3rd in class. Then it's Kobe Clace in 11th place, 4th in class. And Delmont is 5th there just behind him. And then John Tusting is 6th. So very close battle in between those guys. And in the GTE battle, it's still PJ Clayson's leading the way here. And 2nd place is his teammate Lewis Ward, 25 seconds back. And Jordan McGlone in 3rd. And then it's Keanu Reeves Beef Bourguignon in 4th position. And Semil Yagizoglu, fantastic driver name that, honestly. Sounds fantastic. I don't mean that like he's made it up. It's genuinely a brilliant name.
It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a proper race driver name that as well. So I really hope that he manages to get a good result from this, because I want to interview him. Your own Queekin then. Oh, there was a car off in the wall there. It's Wynija, 7th overall and in class. And he's had a nightmare there. Let's have a look at what's happened. It's into the Ford chicane, isn't it? It's not easy.
No, I think he's going to drive straight into the pits. He was waiting for Ollie Slade to drive by. I think he put it in the wall on the brakes. Just it's one of those, a one-way train. He hit the curb while he was on the brakes, locked everything up, and he went straight in. So as you see here, was it Ollie Slade he let by? It was. Does he drive straight into the pits to pick up that repair? Probably not the safest pit entrance. He might receive a penalty for that, as I know what iRacing is like in terms of safety with pit entry and pit exit. But he dives into the pits. Starts to pick up all the repairs, and if he hasn't changed driver, I'm guessing he will now. If he's got another driver waiting, that is. But yeah, I'm sure that'll be fuel tyres and see what he can make of his strategy towards the end. We've still got the battle in the LMP2 class between yes, that's the one exactly. You knew exactly where I was going. John Tusting and Adam Delmont, only half a second or 6/10 is the gap. Quickly coming down to half a second, going down the straight towards the Porsche curves. Like we mentioned at the start, it's draft. It doesn't matter what class you're in, draft will play a part in your race. So John Tusting taking a slightly different line, probably compromising himself a little bit, going onto the marbles of iRacing, and that is Carlos Rui, I believe. Yes, it is. Going wide. Where is that? I can't quite.
That was just out of Mulsanne. In the expensive car park. He was digging up my sand, and I'm going to make sure I charge him per kilo in the post afterwards, but oh no, not good for Simracersworld. Yep, you saw that as well. Is he going to put it on the gravel? Please don't put it in the wall. No, into Arnage. It's going to be a nightmare on the brakes. That's his teammate. That's you what, mate? Oh wow, another snap on the brakes with the Beamer there. Now I've heard the Beamer's a bit sort of hesitant on the brakes, and then it suddenly wants to spin around, but it's really proving it there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the only GTE cars that I've got experience with. The other is the Porsche. But the BMW, I find it balanced, but it's very much setup dependent. So if you've got a good setup, a nice balanced setup, you'll be grand. But it looks like he's just started to maybe get a slight bit overconfident. But he was sitting behind his teammates, so I can't imagine he was pushing mega hard. And it's just, yeah, like you mentioned, it could just be that the BMW is hesitant on the brakes, and if you push a little bit too hard, it just rotates the rear. But we're back to this battle. John Tusting, Adam Delmont just ahead. Gaps opened up quite a bit now. 1.3 seconds between these guys. So there might have been maybe a slight issue around that lap. We've had Ollie Slade going off track. He only spent a second, so it might just be running wide slightly.
Yeah, usually it's just a little blip, isn't it?
Yeah, that's our P2 in LMP1 class. He is now is that 11 seconds, 12 seconds behind our leader. We've had an issue for Tyler Maxson. Let's see what happened to him.
Oh.
Going through turn one very wide, and oh, he lost it. He's losing it. He's going. No, he collected it back up.
Oh, that's the longest accident I've ever seen.
It was wallowing all the way in, and very nice spin. That's got to earn him some points.
Well, fair
Style
play.
points.
Yeah, fair
Well
play,
done to
Tyler.
you, He's got
Nicely
he's
done.
got it back. But yeah, like I said, a very long incident. Not sure whether that might have just been a slight lapse in concentration, or he was trying to get the best run through turn 1. So we go back to our. This is our leader now, your own Weekle, probably one of my favourite driver names.
Yeah, definitely.
In the G-Drive racing car. Going through the first little section, supposedly the first sector according to iRacing. Catching up on a bit of Flemish Simsport traffic. Was that a crash further up? No, I think that was just a snagged brake by somebody. There is a very slow LMP2 car, so that might have been an issue for one of our.
I think it was Philip Ecker has had an issue here. He might have just had a bit of a slide or half spin maybe for Racing Centre Vibe Sports. Clips the grass on the way in. Rather you than me. Oh, what a save. Fantastic effort that to stop it going all the way around. Just taps the wall slightly, but wow, that was... oh, and between the bollards as well. It doesn't really matter whether you do go between them or not, but I like that he did. Stephen DeWolf.
Did he lose a position from that though?
I think he may have done. DeWolf's had an issue here. This was in battle by the look of it. Is it too much curb again? We've seen people hit this curb and really bounce it. Yep, There it goes.
That's a lot of curb. That was probably not the curb I was going to put my money on. I was going to say the second curb is where it catches people out, struggling to get it back in a straight line, trying to put all the power down at once in the litter, but he's got it back pointing the right way. Going under the Dunlop Bridge. We go back to Tom Methrall, who in the Meraki LMP2 car has dived into the pits.
Apparently he's crashed.
Has he crashed?
Apparently so, just on his way in. Is it going to rotate in here? No? Apparently not. Oh, hey up. Oh. Yeah. Wow. He's lost it on the brakes and it's gone around, so he's got to spin it back round again. At least he doesn't need those tyres anymore. Because, wow, what a nightmare.
There's nothing left of him.
Well, yeah, they're very hot indeed. One thing I did want to actually do, Jack. Oh, Ewan Marshall has apparently crashed. Oh, it will say Ewan Marshall because he's just changed driver. So, one thing I did want to do actually, Jack, we mentioned before that Pete Harrod is going to be doing this race solo. I'm going to challenge your mind-reading abilities, as we challenged mine a moment ago when you mentioned there was a battle going on. I'm going to bet you £10. So I'm not asking you for £10. I will give you £10 if you tell me which other car in the field is a one-driver effort, just by purely guessing.
I would say I've got to try and think of who I've seen in the car. You've gone to him.
No, I can guarantee it's not this. I just needed to look at someone that wasn't sat in the pits doing nothing.
I will say Lewis Ward.
Unfortunately, it is Bram Van Putten in the other G-Drive car. He is soloing this race, I've been told in the chat. I
was expecting to see him with another G-Drive driver, a professional driver, which was Job van Oort, but if we're not seeing him out, that's fine.
And it was him that told us.
Was it?
Oh.
Was it? Oh.
Hello, issue.
Slade.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, Ollie Slade's had an issue.
LMP1 and LMP2, isn't it? That have had an issue.
Carlos Ruiz as well has had an issue.
Yeah.
Oh, Ollie.
Oh, tap to the wall.
Yep, and he's got it going gradually as to not come out in traffic, but yeah, a bit of an issue for him there. Carlos Ruiz has had the issue. You pronounced it better than I did, so I'm going to do yours. Oh, hopefully there's not contact with the GCE. Oh, okay, that's a big one. Very big one. Massive accident. What's the Year 1 car going to do here? Whoa. God, it wasn't like he didn't even notice then until he was right in front of it. Wow, that's a big accident for him, and he's in the pit lane now, understandably. Michael Blake in there as well for Team Mads Immortal. There's quite a lot of cars further down that we haven't really looked at the moment. Paul Gosling is apparently in a Banzo RX LMP2 car, according to the timing, but we all know that is a Quantum Racing car, so my apologies there. That's me that's probably got that wrong.
Are you sure that's not an LMP2 car? Are you sure?
I don't know. It's got about 4 times the amount of bodywork as an LMP2 car. It's about 80 feet longer than an LMP2. This is Craig Jones, actually, who's chasing down Dean Timms at the moment in the Year 1 Racing Porsche in front of us. So we'll stay on board with these guys for a moment, see if Craig can do anything about this. See whether anything can be done. Do you reckon he's going to just play it safe, get into the slipstream and try and go from there?
There's no telling at this point in the race. We've gone past the halfway point with an hour to go, or sorry,
Wow.
55 minutes to go.
Where's that gone?
Which has gone, I don't know, it's gone incredibly quickly. It's been full of Chaz's crash highlights, and oh dear, just managed to avoid the stray car of Dean Timms. It looks like he was just being slightly too overconfident on the tyres, rotated the car a little too much, going through Tetra Rouge, nice and cautious, but he's now lost all that time. The gap has gone up to 2 seconds, so it looks like Craig has answered my question for me. Was he going to make the move? I don't think he meant to, but it just happened.
It certainly has, and I've just had it brought to my attention as well by TSR Martin, which is, I believe, Team Simpact Racing. I don't think it's a coincidence, but here is Team Simpact Racing, second in GTE at the moment, 1.7 seconds behind Lewis Ward, who you can see in front of us there. So the battle is well and truly on now at the front of GTE, and PJ Claessens has been in the pits, I believe, so well, he pitted later than everybody else before. He's now pitted earlier than them. This Porsche is so loud to be on board with. I'm really sorry, everyone, but I can't carry on. I can't hear myself think over that thing, but it looks good on the outside, so that's what matters. This is Jordan McClone, of course, at the wheel of this thing. Do you reckon that he's going to be gaining on Lewis because of the damage to the back of his Porsche?
It's got to have some sort of effect. I know obviously the wing is lower on one side than the other, and it looks like it's slightly flatter, so it should carve a thinner gap in the air, but I'm sure with that front end damage as well, his car's getting slightly hot, so he may be getting on power as well. But with Jordan McClone just behind, I know you said you don't like riding on board with it, but I don't know whether anybody else saw that, but much like the Team Simpact racing cars, on the underside of their sunstrip, they are assisted by Murray Walker himself. So I'm sure he is wishing those guys along. It was the same on all the Team Simpact cars last week. There you go, in the top right corner underneath the sunshine.
Let me just move him out. There is Mr. Walker, the legend himself, of course, idols of Jack and I. Fantastic.
He's guiding these guys along, and the gap to Lewis Ward is decreasing. He's not even in draft, and he is taking a couple of hundredths out of him. I'm sure a push from an LMP2 car won't do much, so it is definitely that damage. And Lewis Ward, I'm guessing, will definitely be sort of sussing out his options. Is it worth staying in the pits to maybe take those optional repairs just to see if he can get that extra bit of pace back? There might not even be any optional repairs. He might just have to live with the damage. Now down to 1.4 seconds, taken 2/10 out of Lewis Ward ahead in the chicane. This battle isn't going anywhere, Chaz. Well, it is going somewhere. It's going the way of Jordan McClone. I reckon Jordan McClone will definitely be with them, but or be with Lewis Ward ahead, pretty sharpish. But I don't think at this point we're going to see a major move for position this lap. Maybe not even next lap. If I were Jordan, I'd probably stick behind, make the most of a dire situation for Lewis Ward, and see what he can do.
He certainly will. And Ollie Slade has come in the pit lane again, I think, as a result of the damage, that we saw earlier. But it seems like a while ago since he had that. Maybe he's done another lap. But Tito Granjo has gone into third position now for Banzu RX Flow. So he has now got into a podium position. Nick Shermans isn't too far behind Ollie Slade, who's actually come back out. So he must have just grabbed a fast repair and gone back out. The drivers do get 3 fast repairs in this race, by the way. I do want to also point out that half the race gone, the username within the YouTube chat has also got a picture of Murray Walker as his profile picture. So clearly a big fan of Murray in that team, and I massively approve of that. And I won't lie to you, as much as I'd love to sit here and repeat things that Murray said over the time, they're his phrases. In commentary terms, we don't touch them. They are utter gold, and we leave them. Yeah, we leave them to Murray. They are Murrayisms for a reason. So, unfortunately, if you do want to hear me go on and on giving a lot of Murrayisms, I'm afraid that I'm too madly in love with the man to go and do that myself. But it is commentary folklore. Anyway, McClone, talk to me. We're going to have a bit of Murray in the corner, but he's really closed on Lewis now. It doesn't particularly look like Lewis is struggling with the car. It just doesn't look as grippy. So, I mean, well, McClone plenty of opposite lock there, but he's doing a cracking job at closing up at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely found his flow. It's all well and good getting in a flow now, but if you catch up to a car ahead, like, wow, that was literally half a second in one corner, using all the curb he can, nice and easy on exit, making sure he uses all the track he can, and using all the track he can get away with. But this lap, I'm guessing McClone will get him on the straight, if not before. But Lewis Ward, he'll know that he's there. He will have seen him in his mirrors. No flashing of lights yet, which is all right. But I guess in this lap, there will be a change for the lead in GT. We have had an issue further back for Dylan Archer, I believe. Is he an LMP2 driver?
He is as well. I believe it's the Archer Brothers team as well. Archer Brothers Esports Blue. See what happens into Indianapolis. Turns it in. Bit of curb on the inside. It's not out of shape yet, but guess what? Oh, locks up straight on.
Before. Seen that with the G-Drive LMP2 car. Once again, unsettled the car. It is quite a bumpy entrance into Indianapolis. So, yeah, just unsettled the car, made sure it made it nice and easy to snag a break, and sadly he did. We have had another issue for Jeremy Hessels as well. If we go back and have a look at that, oh, there it is. Yeah, just we've seen that before again. It's just very similar incidents. Nothing out of the ordinary so far.
I'm just looking a bit further down the order here in GTE, because I know some of these guys haven't really had much airtime at the moment. Kevin Bolland is apparently not on the circuit, so these are actually guys that are out of the race now. Andy Scott as well, Anton Dupin, Paul Clist, I think, is the last car running at the moment. Actually, 19th in class. Ahead of him was Carl Hardy, who we were looking at there, then Glenn Van Parijs, and then Robert Odoms for year one. Gavin Thomas for Quantum Racing White in the BMW M8. Then it's Gregory Franks for Simracersworld Esports Belgium. I love the Belgian flag on the front of that. It's such a big, bold car as well. And the fact that the livery itself is big and bold as well works. Half the race gone has just commented in the stream, actually. I had to stop myself laughing. The famous phrase, of course, by Murray, "I'm going for first," says John Cleland. He's actually put the middle finger in, "I'm going for first," says McGlone, which he genuinely is, so fair play, I'll give you that one. And he has actually gone for first and taken it, so we'll have a little look back at what happened here as he overtakes Lewis Ward. And that is actually coming out of the Tertre Rouge, isn't it? So he's just got the run and got it done on the first part of the Mulsanne.
Not out of the woods yet, though. He's 2 tenths behind is Lewis Ward, just gone up to 3 tenths, but he will be back in draft going on to the second straight. You just see Jordan McClone getting the move done before the first chicane. But Lewis Ward, even with damage, he will be draft assisted going down this second straight on the run up to Indianapolis. I don't think Lewis will get the position back. But,
sorry, I just noticed Tyler Maxon had an issue here.
Year one Porsche is his Porsche curves again. Keeps it out of the wall.
That's
very well done.
Oh, fair effort that by Tyler Maxon. Keeps it out of the wall. You've got to hope there's no P1 cars coming around there. The Porsche itself sounds fantastic as well.
As you mentioned it, Ollie Slade comes rocketing around the corner.
Oh, Ewan Marshall's had an issue as well. Jeremy Hessels has as well, so maybe something going on here. That is Jeremy behind.
Does he get it slowed down?
Is he going to lose it in front of Jeremy? There it is. Oh, no. And that's the race leader.
By our leader, yes.
Queekle gets clipped there by that. We'll have to go back with him and just see if there's any other issues. Is the damage on the car? Looks like the front left has got a bit of it. There's a bit of crumpled bodywork on the front right as well. That could be massive because, of course, Ollie Slade getting the damage earlier. He's taking a fast repair during a pit stop. And now if Queekle has to do the same, of course, it doesn't really cost them any time. So it depends if they lose any pace between the stops, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how long a pit stop is here at Le Mans, but I'm guessing if Pete Harrod is on it, the gap has gone from, I think it was 35 seconds before the incident, way down to 27 now, 26 almost. Yeah, now into 26 seconds. So that aero damage is definitely slowing him down. If I were Queekle and I've got a nice strong car underneath me, I'd dive into the pits, get the fast repair come out, and see what I can do about making inroads to a possible lost position. As long as he keeps it on the road, going through here, down to 25 seconds now. So Pete Harrod has definitely got the pace on Queekle at this point.
And I can't be biased, can I? I'm not allowed to be biased. But of course, teammate of mine, Pete Harrod, is really flying here, though. And to be fair, I mean, as a solo effort, fair effort, isn't it, really? I mean, you can see there, the pace around Porsche curves. I don't know how these guys do it lap after lap. It's pretty amazing.
Sure as hell no, I wouldn't be able to. I've been doing the Indy Road series this week, and that's at the Nordschleife, and that's the Indy car by itself is a handful, especially around such a complicated circuit as the Nordschleife. So it's, yeah, these guys, if they've already done 30 rotations of the Le Mans circuit and they're still going strong, yeah, massive props to Pete Harrod as well for doing a solo. We've got a Porsche in the pits, seems to be revving
Queekle
quite a lot. That's Queekle in the pits, yep. So this will be a change for the lead. There goes Harrod straight by. Tito Granier, I think he's a little too far back. I don't think he'll be anywhere. Oh no, here he is. He might also get the position, but if it's a fast repair for Queekle, he might get it done. He leaves the pits now. Tito Granier, he will have the momentum going up into the first little chicane as he go under the Dunlop Bridge. I think Granier will just stick behind, but obviously that gap has come down massively, so Queekle will keep that in mind. Obviously with the change to the lead as well, will Queekle be pushing on? Do you think he'll be pushing immensely hard, or will he just be wishing for an issue for Pete Harrod?
I think that Pete is just going to have his foot down and Queekle's just going to do everything he can. I don't think he's going to be too worried about it because he's only 11 seconds back. And of course, before the pit stops, he was ahead of Pete by quite some distance. So I reckon he'll be all right. Basically, it's not going to be close enough to the end now for them to pit. Liam Silkstone has jumped in the XI iRacing orange car, by the way, that Cam was in before. And Ian has asked for onboard footage, so here you can see the fantastic LMP2 machine as the Simracersworld car looks like it was coming over there. That was a scary moment for Liam Silkstone, but he's doing a great job at the moment, the Irish driver in the number 16 car. We've got Jesse Hendricks in second place for Dynamics Racing Optica. And then Brian Holmes, sorry, go on.
That was Queekle just roaring by the LMP2 car of Hendricks.
It's scary, the speed difference, even from an LMP2 to an LMP1, isn't it? It's just mind-boggling. Hendricks is actually only 3.6 seconds ahead of Brian Holmes at the moment. He's only 2 seconds ahead of Dylan Archer, so you can see him just behind there. There's the car in front, which is actually Tito Granher. Just behind there is John Tusting, and then Peter Growls is now 20 seconds back from this. So John Tusting has really been sort of up there or thereabouts for the whole race so far in the P2 class. He's done a great job. We are just going to show you the leaders at the top. At the moment, you can see the fastest lap times in class. So we've got 3 minutes 20.2 for LMP1, and that was done by Jeroen Queekle. 3 minutes 30.4 in LMP2, and that is actually by Bram van Putten as well, who is 9th in class now and making his way back up. And then GTE 349.3. And that was set by PJ Claysons. So
it's a great lap for GTE.
It's an amazing lap for GTE. That's amazing stuff. So we're going to pop it back to the leaders, and I'm quite pleased to see Harrod up there. I won't lie to you at all. But this LMP2 battle starting to hot up now, of course. Liam Silkstone is a minute clear in the XI iRacing orange car. So him and Josh Cam doing everything they need to do at the moment. And I tell you what, they may still have quite a bit of time of this race to go, but they're certainly making it look easy, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty effortless at this point, or what it definitely looks like it is. I know the LMP2 car can be quite forgiving, very much like a single-seater, just with an extra bit of bodywork. You can chuck it into corners. It has got the downforce. It's got more downforce than it needs. I think it just sort of, it just grips. It goes through every corner, unless, as we've seen at the end of the Mustang, you drop a wheel into the into Chaz's car park and you end up leaping it round. But they all seem to be keeping it on the track. We'll go back to Keanu Bourguignon. Keanu Bourguignon, I'm sorry, who is he leading the way for the GTE class? He
currently is, yes. Lewis Ward has just come in the pits. I was just asked what the gap is from the Keanu Reeves Beef Bourguignon back to Lewis Ward, but Lewis has actually jumped in the pits, so he's making my job a bit harder there. Ewan Marshall is actually racing some of these guys for position at the moment, or he was. He's actually out of the race in the Meraki car by the look of it after that big incident.
Oh, we've had an issue for Igazoglu by the look of it. Jaggers, yeah. Sorry, I got all my bowls mixed up there. Chaz, you take it the way you know how to pronounce it. It's your favourite track.
It's Shamil Jaggers. Yeah, never mind. Oh, he's lost it in the pits. He's spun it. He's fully Yagizoglu'd it. There you go, made it up for it. He's gone back around, gets it back on. But that's a bit of an embarrassing moment, not just for him, but for me as well, not being able to pronounce his name after saying how much I enjoy it. But Keanu Reeves is flying out at the front of the GT filter. I'm sorry, Keanu. It's Keanu Bourguignon. Fantastic name, if I'm honest with you. And when Jack pronounced it before, I was very impressed, so I think I'm just jealous. Great livery as well, but, you know, they said they're testing the Ford for the 24-hour. I think he's doing a fine job of it at the moment. They've been constantly up there in class. Of course, the Meraki cars still flying. PJ Claysons is only 14 seconds back, and then Lewis Ward is 36 seconds back from him. And Martin van Ruik is now back in the Team Simpact Racing. Big fan of Murray Walker car at the moment. And thank you very much. Half the race gone has said, do leave these excellent folks a like. Such a quality broadcast. I do want to also show my gratitude to the amount of likes. We've actually had 25 likes on the video so far. We're at 75 concurrent viewers, and we've had around 90 for a lot of it as well. So thank you everybody for joining us on this broadcast. It means a lot, and we are thoroughly enjoying ourselves, aren't we, Jack?
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't say it overtakes VLN. VLN was great, but because it's a shorter race, I'm sorry, because it's a shorter race, people are being a little more aggressive. So I would say it's a very, very close second, if not bang on par. Obviously, having you here is an absolute pleasure, Chaz, as always. But we've seen, obviously, we had a change for the lead in GTE. We've now got, that was Kimber Haight, who was in that previously. That was Bourguignon. What happened there? Never mind, I'm getting confused with my timing towers. It's still Bourguignon leading the way, pardon me. But we have seen, mentioning the Ford, it was a Porsche-dominated qualifying for the GTE. But we've now got, obviously, the Ford GT out in front in the hands of Keanu Bourguignon. I'm going to keep on saying that. But obviously all the Team Redline guys, whether you've kept up with that on Twitter or whatever social media you use, all of the Redline drivers are using the Ford now ever since the most recent update, and he seems to be at the top of the standings in pretty much every IMSA race I've seen. So is the Ford the new secret weapon? Like you've mentioned before, obviously the Flemish guys are testing this for the 24-hour. So is the Ford the new weapon in GTE?
Well, we'll have to see, I suppose. It's a bit of a long game with these sorts of balance of performances, but it's nice to see it doing so well. We do have 80 viewers at the moment, 31 likes now as well. It's flying up. Ben Henderson says, come on to my teammate Paul Gosling, keep it up, and top broadcast as always. Thank you very much, Ben. And Year One Racing TV say, hiya Chaz, what about Jack? But thank you, hello, good to see you, Year One. I believe it's Graham that's doing that.
Sorry to interrupt you, Chaz. We've just had a fastest lap of the race so far set by Jeroen Kweekel in the LMP2 car. He is placed second, but he has just done a 3 minutes 20.17, which is that's half a second quicker than Pete Harrod out front. So the gap is quickly decreasing. I think it was almost 15 seconds at the start of his stint. He's picked up that bits of that repair, and you can just see the pure acceleration as he goes onto the Mulsanne straight. You see the cracks in the tarmac whizzing by, the trees slowly getting quicker, just going, literally he's got his foot flat to the floor, used up plenty of his hybrid boost at the start of the straight. He will almost be able to see Pete Harrod in front in his Porsche LMP1 car. We have had someone straight line in this chicane.
I think that's Kim Bayet. Let's have a look.
It's Kim Bayet, I believe.
That's it, that's how you pronounce it. Apparently as well, both these Flemish cars are double stint in tyres. Oh no, there's contact with the M8. And that was one of the Simracers cars as well. Not quite sure which one of them that was, but yeah, Kim's had a real smack in the rear there and unfortunately damaged the vinyl on your livery. Oh, the M8 looks like he's also stopped actually. He's had a severe issue there. Trying to figure out which one of the M8s it was. It wasn't Matthias de Tige.
Gregory Vranks then.
It must have been, yeah, I think it must have been Vranks. That's a real shame, that, because they were running so well, and then to have that contact will be an absolute nightmare. Wim Stockwins has just got in the Tuk Tuk patrol car. Just before as well, before this happened, Peter Growls actually went off.
It was him, yeah, it's just because they've changed drivers. Is this the second incident for Tuk Tuk patrol going into the pits?
I hope not for their sake. Oh, it's quite a bit of curb, bit of grass. Wow, look at that, the tiniest little dip of grass, and that was it. Puts it around and it's all over the place trying to come in. Peter Growls will be happy to get out of that car, I tell you. He's now out of the pits. Stephen De Wolf is just coming in the pits, but it's still Liam Silkstone leading in Excite 1-2 in that class at the moment. Liam Silkstone leading the way, Brian Holmes in second place, and it looks like Jeremy Hessels has got issues, and he's in the wall. Where is that?
I think, is that the Mulsanne coming out of one of the chicanes? It looked like the front of the car was missing.
Yeah, it is out of the first chicane, isn't it?
Yeah, the front of the car was missing, so how did he lose it? Too much curb. He's well over the curb on the first.
Oh,
he just pulled over.
Something's broken there. Yeah, maybe another one. It's been very attritional, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Very attritional race for hardware at the moment. Of course, just over half an hour to go now, and I really don't know where that's gone, but I really hope you are all enjoying the broadcast at the moment. It's been a heck of a lot of fun already. And the Flemish Ford won the livery of the race for sure, says Anton Dupan. And Year One do say hiya, Jack.
And Year One Racing.
We've got a couple of guys asking as well for us to show their drivers out on chat. Where is Archer? Just trying to look for Archer. I think he was out early on, wasn't he? Didn't he have an issue before? Oh no, there he is, Dylan Archer. He's in third place in class at the moment. There you go. And that was requested by, where is he now in the chat? ABE, Luca Becker. It was Luca that was in the car earlier, I believe, as well. So He wants us to see his team cracking on. They're third at the moment. We'll go on board with them for a moment.
He has got an LMP1 car just behind. That's Nick Sherman's, I think, in the Simracersworld LMP2, LMP1 car. Now closing up within half a second. He might just get by before the chicanes. Maybe not. He's closed up nicely there. Oh, he's dropped back a fair bit. Did he?
What's happened to? Oh
dear.
They've gone in the pits. Oh, there you go. Nick Sherman's gone in the pits. He kept moving around on the timing screen, so I couldn't quite grab him. Apparently, Keanu did take tyres in his last pit stop, so he's been sorted out and should have some really good pace now. He's currently 4th in class. Here he is in the Flemish Simsports red car, flying down one of the many straights at Le Mans. That's out of Arnage. Van Ruik is in 3rd place at the moment for Team Simpac Racing, and it's back to being a 1-2 for Meraki Racing there. So they're doing a cracking job, and I'll tell you what, it'll be very good for them to get a 1-2 there, especially in an event like this. Dries Mojdi now has got Matthias de Tige right behind him. There's 4 Belgian drivers in a row in this class. Can Matthias make anything of this? Lee Deem has just gone ahead of Jeremy Hessels after his earlier incident. Of course, he's trying to make room back up the order. Bran van Putten now up to 7th in LMP2, by the way, Jack. He's really flying.
Yeah, he's got his head down. I know, obviously, he had a slight issue at the start of his stint, but he's got it back. So Liam Silverstone still leading the way for the Excite Energy Excite iRacing Orange LMP2 car. So at the moment, the top 2 in LMP2 are Excite cars, and the top 2 in GT are Meraki cars. So it seems like it's a very teammate dominated race at this point. Obviously, we've still got this battle between Matthias de Tige and Dries Mojdi, who just got Matthias just got by going through the Porsche curves. Great move by Matthias de Tige. He will be pretty proud of that. That was for P5 in class, so he's worked his way into the top 5. This is Glenn van Parijs, who had an issue coming out of Tetra Rouge.
Yeah, there's something seriously wrong with that, isn't there?
Yeah, doesn't want to drive in a straight line. Let's have a look back to see what happened.
Oh!
There's an LMP2 car spinning. Does he get collected? Yes!
Oh.
Ouch. Unlucky for both parties there. I think maybe the LMP2 car was just not quite looking down at his delta as it should have been, but it was, I suppose it was quite a tiny tap. It was just sort of front corner on front corner, and they ended up collecting each other, which is very unlucky for those two guys.
I'm trying to figure out which one that was, you know, because I don't think it was anyone that was further up the order. I know I'm clicking through them quite frantically at the moment. I do apologise, but I really cannot figure out which one that was. It wasn't Ewan Marshall, because he's out of the race. Daniel Merchant isn't either.
Was it Jesse? It wasn't Jesse Hendricks, was it?
You know what? You might be right there. It was. It was Jesse Hendricks, surely. Because, yeah, you can see the damage, yeah. You've nailed that. Fair play. Jesse Hendricks then carries on at the moment. 12th overall and 5th in class. Oh, a bit of a wobble there. That's it's not for position, that. Just in front there.
That's Thomas. I can't remember his first name. That was... I can't find it now, for the life of me.
Oh, here's a name for you.
Sebastian Freeberghaus.
It's Stephen, for one. Stephen Freeberghaus, not Sebastian.
It's not Sebastian. I'm getting all my names mixed up at this point, but
it happens.
I'll still go around. Oh, that's very close between a GT and an LMP1 car. Was that our lead? That was your own Queekle getting caught out. We've got a top 2 in the pits. That's Pete Harrod, who's just left the pits. Ollie Slade might become a cropper of your own Queekle now, so this could be a swap in position. It is. Ollie hasn't even got to his pit stall yet. There goes Jerome, steaming by. Obviously, he has taken that fast repair. He didn't spend that long in the pit, so he might have taken a bit more fuel and tyres. That's an LMP1 car. That's Sousa behind, deciding to take a well. I'm guessing that was Sergio Sousa, very, very deep on the brakes. Kept it out the wall. Didn't lock anything up by the looks of it. He just modulated his brake input and kept it going. He's now coming under pressure from. I don't even think this is for position. Holmes behind. That's Brian, that's the leader of our LMP2 class, 9th overall, P1 in class. That's not our leader, I'm sorry about that, that's Liam Silverstone.
Oh, it was, yeah.
But Brian Holmes just behind, making the most of a bit of traffic, sitting in the draft, going down the Mulsanne straight before they get to the first chicane is Is Sergio going to let him by? I don't think he is. He's having a look, he's Brian letting him know he's there. Quite this time. Nice and easy on the brakes, not using too much curb. We've seen people get caught out here before. Nice and easy on the throttle. We've just been patient. Back in the draft of Sergio Sosa. Will he get the move done this time? Going towards the second chicane down the Mulsanne straight. Is Sergio going to let him by? Brian once again in the draft. Is he going to give him a little look? Looks to the right. Lets him know he's there. They are well within a tenth now. There you go. Is that Sergio letting you by? I think Sergio. There you go. Sergio's decided to let Brian by. Obviously, Brian had the compromised line. I thought Sergio was convinced he was racing for position there, but obviously it's all well and good him letting Brian by. But he'll have the draft now. As I'm having slight connection issues there. Sorry about that. But that's Brian Holmes unlapping himself. No, that's Sergio losing another lap to Brian Holmes. We'll go back to Pete Harrod, the leader of our LMP1 class.
Only for a moment, I'm afraid, mate. Craig Jones has had an issue, it seems. Into the chicane. Is it going to over-rotate on the right? It is. It's the weight transfer, honestly, from left to right in that chicane. Oh, he almost saved it. He got back on the throttle. Gets it around, though, without any severe issue. And gets that very, very pretty Ferrari back on course. And there's one of the Quantum racing cars going through as well. But Pete Harrod at the moment, I mean, I'm probably going to hear about the celebrations afterwards if he does manage to hold on to this race lead, but to single-handedly beat G-Drive, I'm pretty sure he'll be happy with that. It seems like no one else in the team knew he was even doing this, because he's just appeared and done it, and I'm very, very proud of him, to be honest. He only lives about a mile away from me as well, so I'll probably hear the screams from here when he, well, finishes. I'm just going to say that for now. Bram Van Putten is now up to 5th in LMP2, by the way. He's absolutely flying up the order. Michael Blake here is just behind him in the Simortal Team Mad Car. But, yeah, Van Putten is really on a mission, isn't he, at the moment? Uh-oh.
There. That's Edward May. Well, there we go. No, he's popping around for me. You might have to commentate over this one, Jazz.
He's popping around for me as well, mate. Don't you worry. I'm hoping that we're not going to have some similar issues that we had before. I think he might have had a hardware issue there because he is blinking in and out quite a lot. It seems that it's only him that it's happening with as well, so maybe some sort of hardware or connection issue. And thankfully as well, we've not got the blinking issues that we had before as well. I'm going to jinx it and say that, but it seems a lot better than it was before, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We have got you what, mate, slowly catching up to Matthias. Well, I say he's slowly catching up as he starts to lose a bit of time to Matthias Tatish in the Simracersworld BMW M8 ahead. That's a goal full. So Matthias Tatish slowly starting to build out the gap. These guys were battling not so long back, but you what, mate, has come a proper of his fellow mate driver.
Yeah, he's certainly catching up very well here, but yeah, it still remains one of my favourite team names. Well, my favourite team name of the event there. And just behind, of course, you can see the G-Drive car. Look at the speed difference between these things. It's absolutely amazing. Look at it. It looks like these BMWs are sat in a car park and not going anywhere when you come up to it in this Porsche. Look at it. It's ridiculous. And the fact that it can brake so much later as well just makes them so exciting to drive. They are flying down there. They just look like they're constantly on it. I say that, he's really on it, and he's going to go straight into the wall, this Queekle. He does hit the barrier, and he's completely locked it up there. Well, there's a commentator's curse for you. Let's see it from on board then, what happened. And he goes, he's lifting a bit, you know, maybe trying to save fuel, turns it in. Oh, it's way too hot into the right-hander. He tries to slow it down very gently, and then once it's on the gravel, it just floats into the wall.
Yeah, I did notice there, that was sort of a bit of... He was saving fuel, like you said, he lifted off, but there wasn't any change down in gear, so there will be that lack of engine braking, so maybe he was carrying an extra bit of momentum going into the first chicane, and he wasn't quite expecting it and couldn't get it slowed down. I think this is our P7 driver.
It was, yeah.
Christoph Weininger, I think, in the pits, picking up fuel and tyres by the looks of it. We've got Rashid Kassim in P6 in the LMP1 class, trying to negotiate a little bit of LMP2 traffic. We haven't got a crazy close battle. We've still got Matthias Tatish. Wow, Matthias Tatish has lost a half a second, almost a full second, to Sebastian Herber behind. So that could have been a slight mistake from Matthias Tatish. We were just talking about Rashid Kassim, and he went off track for 3.5 seconds. So I wonder what happened to him.
Apparently he's crashed as well.
Commentator's curse again, I believe, Jazz.
Yeah, is he going to catch too much curb around here? Is it going to bounce around? What's happened here? We saw that earlier. That's deja vu. Really is deja vu. Rashid goes into the wall. And rather than drive it back to the pits, he stopped it there.
Hardware issue again, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. Because if anyone doesn't know iRacing that well, if you basically stop on track and then decide to go back to the pits, it counts as towing the car back to the pit lane. So it can take a couple of minutes. And with Rashid being that close to the pit lane, you've got to think it might have been something pretty severe for him to not just drive it a couple of meters down the road.
Yeah, definitely. I know what Rashid's like. He's a quick guy, especially in the TCR series, which you're all too familiar with, Jazz.
Oh, aye.
And especially with that monster drive he had at Silverstone the other night, he knows what he's doing. And for Rashid to pull over and tow the car, it clearly must be something serious. He's definitely a fighter, and if he can drag the car around to the pits and save a bit of time, he will. And from there, it might even be like a 1 minute tow, even though he's just a couple of meters away from pit entrance. He will still have quite a wait. We'll go back to, this is Liam Silkstone.
It was, sorry.
It was Liam Silkstone, no worries. That's Matthias Tiege. Still under pressure from his fellow Simracersworld driver, like you mentioned, with the beautiful, well, open for interpretation, the beautiful Belgian flag on the bonnet. We've seen, like you said, we've got a raft of Belgian drivers up and down the field. We've still got Keanu Bourguignon from Dries Meldry, Tom. We'll just go with Tom. Yeah, we'll go with that.
We're going to go with Tom.
Go with Tom. Matthias Tiege. And they are the four back-to-back Belgian drivers. Followed by Sebastian Herberer, the German driver in the U-Watt-mate car. Then we're looking at Tyler Maxson now in the pits as part of the Year 1 Racing number 74 car, who's been handed the number 18 car. We'll go to another Year 1 driver. This is Dean Timms, who had a crash at Indianapolis. As he over-rotated it on the exit. We've seen that so many times, Chaz. What do you think causes that?
£12.30, by the way. It's just the trail braking into there. These GTE cars, of course, having no ABS, they can very quickly just snatch one brake on the way in, or because they've got that much mechanical grip, once you get it turned in and then you start braking, it really gradually spins. It doesn't always snap. We've seen it in the BMWs, though, where it does snap, of course, but in things like the Porsches and the Ferraris and even the Ford as well from driving that in previous series, they just have this really, there's no other word to describe it, really annoying half spin that they have about them when you carry too much momentum into a corner. If you just grab the brakes that little bit too hard and dip the nose of the car into the corner, the back end just says, all right, well, I'm not going that way. You can go and do whatever you want. And the back end will just come around, but it does it so gradually that you don't even notice it's doing it until it's there. And if you've got the traction control on, you know, it tries to save itself and it doesn't let you get the rears spinning to sort of try and drift it a little bit. And it just goes around, and it's one of the most frustrating feeling things in iRacing, I won't lie to you. It's just so irritating, and you know, it's just shows today that so many of these drivers of such a high class have it happen to them as well. It happens to everybody. As we see Pete Harrod here, very, very cautious, trying to get past, I believe it's Stephen DeWolf in the P2 car. That was actually quite a good guess, because I didn't think it was him at first. I just clicked on one and there we go. But Pete Harrod's still leading the race though for CQR, and well, he's doing everything he needs to do at the moment. He's got Queekle 16.8 seconds behind, so not too much time to lose, and of course only 21 minutes of this race to go.
Yeah, so not long left at all in comparison to what we've seen, but we've seen your own Queekle obviously have a slight off-track excursion in that G-Drive LMP1 car, but that doesn't rule out, even though Pete Harrod has had a monster drive. I know you're not going to like me that much for this, Chaz, but Pete Harrod could still have a mistake. It's motorsport. He could do something similar to your own Queekle. We did obviously riding on board with him for that incident. He was saving fuel, so I think he was expecting to go to the end on that tank. Obviously, he must have dived into the pits, got the repairs he needed, if any. I don't think there was that much damage, but he seems to be going full send at the moment. It's not like he's saving fuel. We'll have a listen going into the fortune canes. No straight on the brakes, no lifting post on the way in, so he's definitely driving angry now, trying to catch up to Pete Harrod. The gap is coming down, just got to within 15 seconds of Pete at the lead. And obviously Ollie Slade, if all goes south, Ollie Slade will be here to pick it up. He is 30 seconds behind, but if these two guys have got to pit, 30 seconds is well and truly a pit stop, so we can't rule out Ollie Slade for a possibly even higher podium finish. Yeah,
definitely. You're right there. It could still go any way. Just one mistake in these cars can have so many implications. Anton Dupan in the chat has said that a lot of people are driving a car they're not used to, which is a fair point, to be honest. A lot of these guys won't be used to these cars, so always Queekle gets held up there. and has to get back on it onto the Mulsanne. But just watching this car go through the Porsche curves, I don't know about you, but I was holding onto my desk. I thought it was going to fall over. It's just unbelievable pace from this thing. Look at it. You go past cars like it's Rage Racer or something on an old Namco demo or something. It's just, they're not doing anything. It's so fast.
It's scary fast that you can make a machine like this that handles to literally to a T. You can turn it in, know exactly what it's going to do. And like we've mentioned before, I've mentioned it a hell of a lot before, if you can drive one of these quickly, which is being perfectly shown off by your own Quico, massive props to you. You know exactly what you're doing, and he's on it. He's taken a second out of Pete in the lead just in this first and second sector, so he's really on it. He's driving angry, like I said. And I know you've already mentioned there's only 20 minutes to go, even less now. With 14 seconds being the gap, I'm going to say Quico will be there or thereabouts going into the final closing laps.
Oh, Lewis Ward has had an issue, by the way, actually. We're just going to cut to this. See what's happened here to Lewis Ward. Oh, is it going to be another spin at Indy? Another one. Or is he going to clip the gravel? Please, no. Oh, he's going to really put it in the wall. That's quite a big hit. It's very similar to Ollie Slade's incident earlier. He's going to try and get it recovered. But he's reversing it, which is a fair idea, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh. Oh, he lights it up and it spins the other way. He gets back going again, but that's a painful moment for Lewis Ward. And here is Jeroen Quico. I won't lie, I want to stay with Quico just to witness this amazing comeback that he's on at the moment. He's lost a little bit of time to Harrod, maybe getting held up with traffic, but he's flying at the moment, properly flying into Indianapolis. Just look at the speed of it. You can see the back end wants to break away and he's just not having it. He's just got it on a proper tight leash, hasn't he? He's just like, no, you are going to do what I tell you to. Watch the acceleration now in the bottom right of your screen. It's just
moving so quick.
It's eye-melting stuff, isn't it? Really eye-melting.
Yeah, that's LMP2 traffic. Who's this? What have you seen?
Dylan Archer has apparently had an accident. Let's have a little check. Oh, he's hit the cone, which respawned very quickly. Oh, he's just lost it on the brakes, locks it up.
Kept out of your car park though, so you're going to be a quid down.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I say just very, very close to.
Oh yeah.
But if we go back to Jeroen Quico, he is an absolutely crazy driver, and he's been on it for the entire race. Obviously, a couple of mistakes, but that's expected with endurance racing. But I do think that the Stephen DeWolf LMP2 traffic he's had to negotiate has lost him a bit of time. Well, I say that as he's now almost within 13 seconds of Pete Harrod behind, so it may have slowed him down, but he is not letting that hold him back by any means at all. And like we've mentioned, another minute has gone by, another couple of minutes have gone by. We've seen Ollie Slade, he's dropped off a tiny bit, so he might have made a bit of a mistake, or he's got to the point in the race where he's going, there's no need to push anymore. He's got a tasty gap behind, and there's nothing really that he needs to be driving for. A podium finish round here is absolutely amazing. A finish round here alone is crazy. So massive well done to all of the guys that are still out on track. And even if you've had a hardware issue or you've sadly had to retire the car, I'm sure you've done an absolutely great job of even starting the car. So well done to everybody that's taken part so far, although the race isn't over. Only 15 minutes left now, Chaz, so
yeah,
it's getting close, but Quico's dropped off again.
Well, just with that as well in mind of how close these guys are, I just want to point this out to you. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, that is the overall gap in LMP2. There's only 15 seconds covering the top 4 at the moment. Brian Holmes leading the way. Josh Cam is here in second, going into turn 1. And then he's got Archer also going into turn 1. And then John Tusting is just coming out of the straight now. So it's incredibly close in this class. I mean, 5th place Bram Van Putten has been on an amazing comeback drive at the moment. He's just coming into the Ford chicane. But it's so close at the front. And of course, Excite 1 and 2, we had Liam Silkstone in the car before. He's now switched back to Josh Cam. But Brian Holmes has taken over the lead of this race for Excite iRacing 58. And this is, of course, going to be a dream for Adam Delmont, who at first wasn't even registered for the race until almost minutes before. So for him to jump in so late and then take the win, it's going to be fantastic if he can do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be great. Obviously, we've seen the XI guys once again that you're familiar with these guys from the TCR series, and maybe not all of the XI drivers, but most of the XI drivers are in the TCR series, and they all do an absolutely amazing job there. They've found that point between safe driving and aggressive driving, and we've had an incident, if we just go off topic here, for Pablo Prado, I think. If we have a look back at that, Chaz, if he's popped up. Here we go, LMP2 car going down into, is that, yeah, that's the end of the Mulsanne. Once again, that cone comes a cropper. Does he lose it on the brakes? Locks up. That's another quid in your kitty, Chaz.
Well, I'm going to be a rich man at the end of this, I'll tell you that. PJ Clayson's has just passed Edward May. I believe that would have been while he was in the pits, actually, yeah, because Edward May's in a different class, so I'm slowly losing my mind. The gap for the lead, Jack, 13.5 seconds now, Pete Harrod is, and it doesn't look like any of these boys are really slowing down, so do you think they're going to go all the way to the end?
I'm guessing so. Like, obviously, we've seen Jeroen Kweekel. He was saving fuel, but it's like he's just found another gear and he's going for it again. But I don't want to be the guy to say it, but I'm going to be. Pete Harrod has pretty much got this race wrapped up at this point. He's been within sort of, or Jeroen behind has been within sort of pushing distance, but he's been swapping between sort of 12 seconds and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And once again, he's now back to the 12-second mark. And with still sort of 14 minutes to go, and 14 minutes isn't exactly a massive margin, that's sort of 5 laps around here. 5 laps, I don't think Jeroen behind will gain or will gain, what will that be? That's 3 seconds a lap, well, 2 seconds a lap almost.
Yeah.
And obviously with traffic playing the part now on both drivers, I openly admit, but it seems like Pete Harrod has just got his eye and he's negotiating traffic, as we've just seen as he's been getting past Dean Timms. He knows what he's doing. He's had plenty of time in the car, and he's well out in front. I think Pete Harrod will grasp the win.
Well, he's on for the win at the moment. Whether he holds that or not, whether I jinx that or not, Chris Coughlin, CQR teammate of ours, is shouting, "No, silence! Don't jinx it." Just a bit of info as well in the LMP2 battle. Josh Cam is now fueled to the end. Brian Holmes, the current leader, will be doing a splash and dash. So it's down to Cam to defend from Dylan Archer, who is just there behind. And there's a car between them, which is a lap down. That is Sergio Sousa. But this is effectively second place at the moment for Dylan Archer, unless Brian has a very, very short pit stop. And I tell you what, these LMP2 cars aren't too slow either. If you see the speeds they're doing in the bottom right of your screen, they're almost doing 180 miles an hour as well. But the very, very interesting battle at the front. The GTE battle has calmed down a little bit. It's 41 seconds back now from PJ Clayson's to Martin van Ruik, who is in second, splitting the two Meraki cars. Lewis Ward is in third position. Doing a great job though still. The damage seems to have gone the other way now. It's like one of the team members has hit it so hard with a hammer, he's bent it the other way.
Yeah, I think that's my strategy. If I end up breaking the car at the start of my stint, I hit every curb as hard as I can to try and whack it back into shape. It doesn't tend to work, funnily enough, but it seems like Keanu has got a similar sort of idea in his head. But we've seen him out in front, and obviously we've now got PJ Clayson's leading the way by Martin van Ruik and then Lewis Ward, and then we get to Keanu. I think if you say PJ's got to pit, oh no, that was LMP2 cars.
Yes.
Whether the top 3 or any of the cars in the top 3 of GT have to pit, Keanu, I think not any rash towards any of the other drivers that are in the top 3 or anybody else in the GT class. At this point, I would say Keanu deserves a podium. He's had an absolute monster drive, and he's kept it on the track and kept it clean. He hasn't had much screen time, which tends to be a good thing. Unless you're looking at a livery, it tends to be because they've gone off track, and we haven't seen him that often, which I know it sounds bad, but it is quite a good thing if we haven't showcased him on Chaz's Crashes highlights.
Yeah, that's very true.
But it's nice to see that he's still going, and with Clayson, Ruik and Ward ahead, they're not exactly within battling distance. So I don't think it will be a battle that slows them down. It will have to be a pit.
Well, it's certainly going to get close as things finish up. I mean, I'm very excited to see just how close it gets, to be honest with you, because some of these drivers really know what they're doing, and whether the strategy does come into play any more than it has done already remains to be seen in these last 10 minutes right now. 10 minutes of the race to go, and it's so close all the way through. I really, really am impressed with how well these drivers have handled themselves. And of course, Keanu Reeves Beef Bourguignon is doing a great job in this Ford at the moment. It sounds a very strange car, actually. We'll go on board with it for a second, but look how little steering lock he's putting on around there. I've heard it's an oversteery little bag of nails, but it really looks like it, doesn't it, with the amount of lock he's got on?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that piece of plywood that's been stapled to the roof makes all the difference, but Yeah, like I said, I've heard it's very oversteery and it can be quite unpredictable, even on a very nice safe setup. He's using, wow, very committed through there,
Yeah.
like very cleanly. There wasn't much oversteer, as I say, he does a sort of World Rallycross strategy and just uses every single piece of curb he can and a bit more as he comes by to chalk lap 40 in the book. He's definitely on it, but like you said, it's one of them things he's got to rely on any of the drivers in front to make a mistake or make a pit stop for him to get a podium finish. And this late in the race, I'm pretty sure these guys know exactly what strategy they're doing. So if I was in the top 3 and I knew I had to pit, I'd be doing everything I can to save fuel, because you lose more in a pit stop than you do saving fuel.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
We've seen battles up and down, but the field is spread out. We've got past the 2-hour mark, and much like the VLN race, the closest. We've had a major incident for Dylan Archer and Sergio Sosa. We'll have to go and have a look at that. This isn't the first time we've seen these two showcased.
And Dylan was, of course, in 3rd place in class. Sousa right in front of him there. That's Carl Hardy in the Result clothing cart. Sousa, he wobbles and then comes across, and that's a massive impact. And surely that's Dylan out of the race there. Sergio managed to carry on, but, well, with what's left of it, there's a cross in front of the race leader. Wow. That's a massive, massive accident for those two. Thankfully, it is sim racing, and they are okay, but what a nightmare for those pair. Brian Holmes is in the pits, by the way, and John Tusting is now up to 2nd place. What a great drive he's had so far.
Yeah, definitely. He's got Josh Cam 15 seconds up the road, so I don't think there'll be much change there. But yeah, it's such a shame to see two of those great LMP2 drivers out this late in the race. Like, literally, you just said there's 10 minutes to go, and with these guys now both in the wall with such a heavy impact, it's not that great to see those guys out this late in the race. We've still got this Bram Van Putten, Brian Holmes battle. They are almost within a second now. Brian Holmes has been slowly starting to push forward. Do you think Brian Holmes will take Bram off the podium, or do you think Bram will defend for his life and just keep that final podium position?
It's hard to know. Bram's going to be on similar tyres to Brian at this point anyway, to be fair. So there's not going to be that much advantage or disadvantage to either of them. It's just the fuel is going to be the main difference between the two. But as things stand, I think Bram has got the pace to even win this race. But of course, the only thing stopping him now is the gap. So to be honest with you, I think that we're going to see Bram hold on to this podium overall.
It's been a great drive from all of the G-Drive drivers. We've got Ollie Slade off track. He has come back on. That's 4.5 seconds he spent off track. So it might just be one of those things. He's gone off track, or maybe had to skip a chicane. We'll have a look back going into Indianapolis. Come on, Ollie, don't tell me you've done it again.
Is he going to lock up?
Very quick right hand there, keeps everything squared away. Oh, yeah, he does lock up.
And
Tap
into
of
the
wall
wall
as well. So that's such a shame this late into the race, but he's still got that gap behind. 15 seconds is the gap to Tito Grania behind. Probably just a little lapse in concentration this late into the race. It can be expected from everyone. It looks like the car's driving in a straight line. It's still got that ballistic acceleration coming out of literally every corner as he just shoots past the LMP2 car like it's nothing. But a great drive from all of the LMP2 field here. We've got LMP1 field, sorry. Your own Queekle still in P2. He's brought the gap down by half. He's now within 7.5 seconds to Pete Harrod ahead. But with 5 minutes of the race remaining, like I've said earlier, I doubt there'll be much change. But we can't put any money on it because this is racing. Anything can happen at any point.
Yeah, and Pete could start to feel some pressure from it. You never know. He could have to save fuel. He might have cut it really fine. But look at the speed difference in that portion of the Beamer. Look at it. It's just a complete different league. But yeah, the gap now 6.6 seconds. I've brought them up on the left-hand side of the screen so everyone can see. Oh, Sergio Sousa's had another accident. What's happened here? He's got back out after having a fast repair. The Portuguese driver not having much luck at the moment. Onto the brakes in the second chicane. Oh, the cold tyres, and it goes really, really wrong for him there, off behind the trees. But yeah, it is, yeah, definitely. We'll stick with Queekle again. I mean, I know that we were on board with him for quite a while before, but it's just the utter pace of this, and you can feel the chase that's going on at the moment for the overall race lead. Only 6 seconds in it after 2 hours and 20 minutes of racing. Well, Pete Harrod currently leads the way for CQR Club. Second for G-Drive Racing Exemia Rev Match is your own Queekle. Ollie Slade third for Fiercely Forward. in the P2 class. Oh, John Tusting has come in the pits here. So Bram Van Putten surely, and there it goes, is going to take second place in class. Brian Holmes now does get onto the podium position. But John Tusting, of course, needing more fuel before the end. Josh Cam's still leading the class, and by quite a distance as well, 35 seconds out in front. And then we have PJ Claessens, who's only 7 seconds, you know, ahead of Martin van Ruik. And Lewis,
we know what Martin van Ruik's. Sorry about that, Jazz. We know what Martin van Ruik's like after winning the VLN last weekend. Is this Dylan Archer? Yes, it is. Has he done exactly the same as what he's done prior? No, he hasn't locked up. Does he? Yes, we've seen so many people do that. It looks like quite a heavy tap, but there wasn't that much damage to the front of the car. Does he get back going again? Does he get it fired back up? He does indeed. Waits for the traffic to go by. Keeps going. Slight bit of aero damage on the front of that car, but he's back out. It looks like it doesn't exactly look like it's tracking straight.
No.
But with this late into the race, there's no major point. He might not have a fast repair left, so it's really just worth sticking out. But like you said, Josh Cam well and truly in the lead. Got an absolutely amazing gap of 35 seconds to the car behind. But the lead the lead overall. And in the LMP1 class is now only half a second away from Jeroen Kwijkel, and he's just once again done the fastest Sector 7 of the race. So he's definitely on it. The front of the car pasted in whatever he's found going around the track. It's pretty much, it was mainly, there you go, you can see it there. Very orange and black checker pattern on the front of that car now, but he's on a mission. And with 2 laps maximum left of this race, he's going to have to pull something out the bag that's extra special here. It's all well and good that he finds 2.5 seconds a lap, but once he's caught up, it's another thing to pass, as we've heard so many times this race.
It is indeed. And he's already doing 316 kilometers an hour, about 10 meters out of Tertre Rouge. He's really flying. Look at it, 320. He's really, really on it. Personal bests going in here from Jeroen Kwijkel. And this is the chase that we all wanted to see. It's very exciting. And Pete Harrod now only 4.3 seconds ahead. Can he do it? Of course, there's only going to be one more lap after this one. So he's got one more chance. There is Pete Harrod off in front. 4.4 second gap. Thank you very much, by the way, Hendrik de Grave. He says, before this ends, great job to the commentators. Great job, guys. Thank you very much, guys. Honestly, we really do appreciate that.
My second time in the booth, and what can I say? I want to do this every day. I'm enjoying it so much. With everything that's provided by Simracersworld, why wouldn't you? This is just one of the fun events while we're trying to get through this tricky time globally. I'm not going to elaborate on it any more than I have to, but yeah, it's great that Simracersworld have accommodated this. But let's stop the chit chat. I said he would have to pull something special out the bag, and he's now a second closer than he was at the start of this lap. And sadly, we're going to have to look back at Dylan Archer, who in the last 10 minutes has been on the stream way more than he needs to. Does he negotiates the chicane okay on the gas a little? Oh, has he run out of fuel? He has indeed. That's out of fuel. I heard it
yeah,
choking.
Something's gone really wrong for Dylan Archer at the end of this race, and it's a real shame. I would like to also back up the comments as well to you, Jack, of course. It's only Jack's second time in the booth doing this as well, everybody. Can you believe it? He's done an amazing job. Absolutely cracking job. Great to be commentating with you, buddy. And it's nice as well, actually, to see, because, you know, a lot of people, while the racing is exciting, as we see Kwijkel here, disposing of lap traffic like it's nothing. That's De Tiege. Very close to him, though. De Tiege not giving him an easy time of it. But I think that De Tiege is actually in a battle there. That car behind, Tom Giesens, is actually for position, so he doesn't want to be lingering as the Porsche makes itself very much vacant from his airspace. I do obviously just want to sort of go back to the comments on the commentary, because, you know, it's not always something that is picked up on by everybody. They just watch the event and they enjoy it. They don't think about the amount of time that goes into it. I'm not saying we're underappreciated, but sometimes we are. Anyway, here is Robert Odoms. But thank you, everybody, for your comments, honestly. It's much appreciated. Robert Odoms has had an issue, maybe going into Arnage, into the right-hander. Is it going to lock up? Oh, yes. It's a very deceiving corner. It really is, and it's not the easiest to go around. Rashid is off and has had an issue. Indianapolis. Oh, it seems like it turned in quite sharply.
Yeah, he locked up again, front.
It's one of those with Indy. If they don't lose it on the way in, we know that they're going to have an issue like afterwards and clip the gravel. So on to the final lap of the race then. Pete Harrod is that black dot in the distance here. There's only 2.9 seconds between Kwijkel and Harrod. What is going to happen? Everybody get your bets in, because Kwijkel is on an absolute mission. really on a mission. It's great to see such a fantastic driver really on his edge. Sounded like he short-shifted to me there. Out of everything.
Yeah, he is dropping tenths here, there and everywhere. Maybe he's been focusing so much on the car ahead.
Yeah, is he?
Fuel. Has he forgotten about his fuel management? He's got quite a gap behind. He's got, yeah, definitely saving fuel. Is he going to get to the end?
Well, this is very quickly turned around.
We'll have to stay riding on board with him. Did he think that was going to be the last lap of the race, and he underestimated how quick Pete Harrod will be? This is crazy. It's the last lap of the race after 2.5 hours of racing. Whoever finishes in P2 is going to be decided on the very last lap. I know Ollie Slade has been, well, pretty much over a minute behind for the entire race as he crosses the line now for the second to last time. If he's on it and he uses everything he has in that LMP1 Porsche, could we see him catch Queequel? But Queequel seems to pick up the pace again.
Yeah, he seems to be back on the revs, but Pete Harrod is now 13 seconds clear in the CQR Club car, and I think we're going to see... Well, no, I'm not going to say it. I can't say it. Not after what your own Queequel's done. I can't say it. Tito Granher's going to have heard the news as well, and he's going to be absolutely on it as well in his Porsche. Nick Sherman's is still in 5th. Not really seen much of Nick today, but he's doing a cracking job. Still a top 5 for the LMP1 class. Josh Cam still leading the way in the LMP2, and his teammate Brian Holmes has gone through to 2nd place now over John Tusting, because John went back into the pits, didn't he? And Bram Van Putten has lost the time, actually, hasn't he? So, yeah, something's gone very wrong for Bram Van Putten there. Maybe Bram had to pit as well. It looks like he has, actually, because they've all done the same amount of stops. And I remember Bram hadn't done that before because of his incident. So, he has done another stop. But here is Pete Harrod then into Indianapolis, and it doesn't look like Pete is slowing down at all, does it, Jack?
Not at all. He's got it exactly where he needs to be. He's got a nice gap behind, 26 seconds, almost 30 seconds. So half a minute is the gap behind almost. And all he's got to do is, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to say it. He's in the position he needs to be for the result he wants. And yes, it was all well and good, your own Queequel lapping 2 seconds quicker in the previous lap, but maybe he used everything he had, all his boost, all his fuel, and then didn't realise there was another lap to go. He did some major fuel saving. The gap is now 32 seconds. Ollie Slade only 51 seconds adrift, so he's gained 20 seconds in the past half a lap. But we've got to that point now where Jeroen has saved the fuel he needs to get around to the end. I'm sure he's using every piece of boost he can just to minimise his fuel usage. As Pete is already
he's flashing
his lights.
He's very excited.
Happy.
And
tremendously happy.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to say it. But out of the final corner to win the Simracersworld 2.4 hours of Le Mans, Pete Harrod for CQR Club single-handedly does it. What a result for Pete. Amazing effort. Absolutely amazing in the LMP1 class. Wins the race overall. He's going to be absolutely over the moon with that. Really, really over the moon. And Wim Stockman's there just finishing behind in the P2 class. We look back to Jeroen Queequel. He's been an absolute pleasure to watch. And the same with all of the G-Drive drivers in this race. It's been great to have them. He's going to take a very, very well-deserved 2nd place. It didn't quite work out, but Jeroen Queequel there, 2nd place. What a drive. He really slows it down.
Oh, crossing the line.
Yeah, only just. Some of the other cars there behind him as well in class, of course. Herbera, De Tige, Clays, Stockman's Blake, Freiberghaus, and Kasim crossing the line as well. A lap down, of course, so they cross the line a bit sooner. Here is Ollie Slade for Fiercely Forward. Jack's going to be very pleased, aren't you, mate, to see them get a podium?
Definitely. It's great to see after an absolutely amazing Formula 3 round 3 at Interlagos only last night. It's great to see another good result for Fiercely Forward as he rounds out the podium here for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans hosted by Simracersworld. So after 2.5 hours of racing there or thereabouts, who would have thought that this late into the race that Queequel would have made such an underestimate? The race isn't over though, definitely. Even though people have crossed the line, we've still got Josh Cam here, who is he's on his way to take P1 in the LMP2 class, pardon the pun, going through the Porsche curves, negotiated his final piece of traffic. He's not backed off at all, really using everything he can in that LMP2 tank. And yeah, he's drove a commanding race. He's been within the top 5 pretty much everywhere. I haven't seen that much, or we have seen bits of him, but I don't think we've seen as much of him as we have other drivers. So he's kept it clean. kept it on the road, and an absolutely amazing drive for the Excite iRacing Orange LMP2 driver. And there you go, LMP2 winner, Josh Cam.
What a cracking job. Cracking
yeah, it
job.
almost sounds like a YouTube channel does, Josh Cam. We've got Brian James, his Excite iRacing teammate, coming along to take P2 in the LMP2 class, as well as John Tusting, 22 seconds adrift from these guys. So Excite seem to have something extra in the tank for the LMP2 cars. What do you think, Chaz?
I think they've put some of the energy drink in the fuel, to be honest with you. It's been absolutely flying. But of course, Brian Holmes, his teammate in this one, Adam Delmont as well, who only registered for the race a couple of minutes beforehand, doing a cracking job, and it completes a very, very rewarding 1-2 for Excite iRacing. They're going to be over the moon. We're not going to stop hearing about that on social media for 3 weeks. Trust me, they've got a very, very good social media push. They're constantly on it, always on the live streams, and they will be over the moon with that. John Tusting here for Quantum Racing Purple. Well, he's had a very up and down race, to be completely honest with you. We've seen a lot of him, but a very, very controlled drive overall. And John Tusting rounds out your podium. Bran Van Putten just there in 4th place. The other G-Drive driver. They didn't quite pull it off today, Jack, but what a really, really good effort all round. And what a fantastic race by everybody. It's been awesome to watch, hasn't it?
It's been such a good race from everybody today. There's been probably a few silly mistakes, but that's what comes with racing, and it's great to see these guys they've had an absolute whale of a time. And here we go, we've got the Meraki cars flying formation, and what a picture. That's such a great way to finish what has been an absolutely amazing race. And the Meraki cars, only one of them has got a wing that looks factory fresh, but we've got guys slowing down nice and easy, teammates sharing the road together with are they the two? Yes,
the Quantum cars, isn't it?
Guys. Yeah, it's great to see that these guys, they don't gain anything from this. A bit of publicity, of course, but they do it just for the love of racing, and it's a great way to do it with Simracersworld. So I can't thank Simracersworld enough just for giving all the drivers this opportunity. And,
the Flemish car just painted the back of it brown then when he came up down that straight. The Beamer's saying thank you for not ruining it, but wow. That would have been a scary moment. But what a great event. Really, really great event. Fantastic from everybody involved in Simracersworld for putting this on. Thank you, everybody that has helped. And, of course, thank you to you, Jack, as well. It's been great to commentate with you, mate. It's been a right good laugh, hasn't it?
Yeah, thank you yourself. It's been crazy. It's such a good opportunity that has been gifted to me by SRW. So massive thanks to those guys, and to be paired up with someone like you, it's made the experience so much worse, better. So it's just great. I'm lost for words. It just works. It's the car track combos, the SRW and Ian Roots. They know exactly what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see that that everybody's enjoyed themselves. If we just see Pete Harrod, or commonly being referred to as Pete Heroed, coming into the pits for the final time, as he's flashing a fellow Porsche,
giving Carl Hardy a little bit of a shove back to the pits here. This is nice bit of sportsmanship as well from the race winner. You would have thought that car would be going in a museum at the end, but he's thought, oh, well, stuff it. I'm going to do some donuts. Good lad. That's what you want, Pete. That's it. You don't need them tyres anymore. Light them up, sunshine. Go on. Here we go. That's fantastic.
Spectacle.
Smashing stuff from Pete Harrod. And what we're going to do as well, by the way, is just show the... We're going to grab the results any second now. I'm just going to grab a bit of music to put over that as well. But, well, Pete took on G-Drive single-handedly and won. It's... not many people can say that, to be honest with you. And apparently this man, Josh Cam, does have a YouTube channel as well.
I thought it reminded me of Dave Cam, but yeah. I thought Josh Cam is too good of an opportunity to turn down. Surely Josh has got a YouTube channel, so I think I'll be having a look later.
Oh, I certainly will as well, mate. I certainly will indeed. Well, what we're going to do now is just grab the race results then. I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to work. I've definitely got my fingers crossed that it's going to work. I just need to check something. It's not coming up. It's not coming up. It's not coming up, is it? I think I know why, actually. If you just, everybody, bear with me 1 second. I do apologise for this. I know exactly what I need to do here. Trust me. No. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I think I know what I'm doing. I like to think that I know what I'm doing. We do have this. We do have this available to us. There is a... there's what we call a remote control available in these things. there's a component that I need to bring in because there's something missing from it. Basically, what we're using is quite an old project file of this, so I need to make sure that I bring the other ones in, and it doesn't look like I've got it for some reason. I'll tell you what, there is... why is it not coming up now? It should do. It should come up, but it isn't, I'm afraid.
It should, but it isn't.
Yes. It should, but it isn't. This is just a brilliant way to round it out, isn't it? Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. Let's just try and see whether we can get this done a different way. Let's just try a different one. Bear with me. No, it's not coming up. Basically, they added a new component in for the race results, and it's not coming up. So if you bear with me 2 seconds, I'm just going to go and download this, and we will, in the meantime... Where is he? Where is he? I'm trying to look for... We'll go with Jeroen Kweekel. And we'll go back a little bit. Go on board with Jeroen. And see whether we can get an onboard lap just for you to watch, just while I crack on trying to sort this out. It's going to take a second to rewind. So do bear with it. Or is it? Here we go. Trying to get it to rewind. There we go. Okay, so just sit with your own Kweekel for a moment and I'll be right back, because we will get these results up, I swear to you. Bear with me. I enjoyed the comment from Chris Coughlin. He's just called it covering fire, which is very, very true. I will, honestly, I will get these results for you if it kills me. I'm just having to download something else, actually.
Craig's taking back all the compliments he gave to us.
I am sorry, mate. I am so sorry. So I've got a results thing to download. You may hear a Windows noise or two as I download it, because basically we're using a control component for this, and one of the overlay file that we've got is an older one, which uses the older version of the results. So we have to basically update it and add something in. So I've downloaded it now, and I'm going to add something in. Here it is.
Just see the closing speed between an LMP1. It's crazy.
Frightening, isn't it? Very, very frightening. So we'll tell you what we'll do, actually. We'll put it on board with Pete Harrod, seeing as he was the race-winning car. We'll have him in slow-mo, and we'll have him on a TV1 camera, just so we can have that playing there. And if I get my cards right, and we get the LMP1, we go back to the live. Let's see whether we can get this up. Can we get some results up? Please? We do! There you go. There's the LMP1 class. So, CQR Club, Pete Harrod takes the race win, and alongside him on the second step of the podium is Jeroen Kweekel for G-Jive Racing Eximia Rev Match, and Ollie Slade and the Fiercely Forward team finish in third place. Tito Granher crossed the line in fourth for Banzu RX Flow LMP1, and the Simracersworld LMP2 LMP1 car finishes in fifth. Team Switzerland finishing in sixth place, with V-Racer in seventh. Quantum Racing Red were 8th in class, albeit 25 laps down. Blue Racers Performance 34 laps down, and 40 laps down was Quantum Racing Black. And if we move over to the LMP2 class, we have XII Racing Orange winning that one, with XII Racing number 58 in second place, 40 seconds back. What a convincing win for them, with Quantum Racing Purple in third place. G-Jive Racing Exima Rev Match, the LMP2 team, finished in fourth, with Tuk Tuk Patrol finishing in fifth. Team Mads Immortal sixth, ahead of Dynamics Racing Optica and Racing Centre Vive Sports. Dynamic Racing Green and XI Energy Cherry round out the top 10. Archer Brothers Esports Blue were 11th, with the Spirit Sim Racing, if I can get my words out, in 12th. Banzu RX Flow LMP2 is 13th, ahead of Fury Sim Sport LMP2 in 14th. Then we have Dynamics JH, Meraki Racing Blue, Quantum Racing Green, and Nomad Sim Racing Black didn't finish the race. And it's over to you, Jack, for the GTE results.
Let's hope mine are the same as your screen, as I noticed a couple of them weren't, but we'll give it a shot. We've got PJ Clayson winning the GTE class in the Meraki Racing Pink Porsche. We've then got Martin van Reewijk with another commanding drive, finishing P2 for the Team Simpact Racing team. Lewis Ward rounds out the podium in his Meraki Racing Black Porsche. Then get onto the first car that isn't a Porsche of Keanu Bourguignon in the Flemish Simsports Red 4GT. Then we get to Sebastian Herbra, finishes P5. Oh God, you're gonna have to run through the rest. My SDK has decided not to work.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got the Flemish Simsports Black Ford, they're 11th. So SCC Racing were behind them in 12th. And then we had Year 1 Racing 46 in 13th place. Result Clothing iRacing team were in 14th. And then we have 3 Year 1 racing cars in a row, 15th, 16th and 17th. And then Simracersworld Pro Assist Sim Racing just behind them. A bit further down we have SRW Esports Belgium. And then Simracersworld Blue in 20th. Quantum Racing Yellow 21st with We Love Sana in 22nd. Then A&M Racing, Team Ian Roots. Go on, Ian. He was actually one of the stewards for the race. And then LM Racing didn't start either. That was Louis Morga who didn't actually take the start.
I am being corrected in chat. Lewis Ward did finish P2. I did warn you guys, saying that my SDKs decided to play silly buggers. So sorry about that. Lewis Ward did finish P2 overall. And then I'm guessing it was Martin van Reewijk rounding out the podium. So sorry about that. Meraki 1-2 in the GTE class. So great job by those guys. Great job overall, I think, Jazz, from all the drivers and obviously everybody who's played a part in getting this set up. And obviously we wouldn't be able to do this without all you guys watching as well. It really motivates us and keeps us going. And thank you for all the viewers. Didn't you say we got up to around 90 midstream?
I believe it was over 80 at one point. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic numbers all the way through. Very, very pleased with how much we've managed to get on there. I'm incredibly impressed by the amount of people that turned up. So thank you everybody that has joined in. I'm just trying to get all the... Why are the results? Oh, there we go. The results wouldn't go away then. Sometimes I can't get them to come on the screen and other times I can't get them to go away. But we do have some drivers in for an interview. And I think it's probably better off starting with the owner and, I believe, manager of XI Energy iRacing, and it wouldn't be the same without speaking to him, to be honest. Adam McNally joins us in the chat. Now, Adam, one of your boys, of course, winning the race today. You've got to be absolutely over the moon with that.
I mean, what you see, pace from Josh, just phenomenal. Excellent signing for the team, and hopefully he can win a lot more for us.
I just missed out on that there, sorry mate. I had you a little bit quiet. You say that again for me, please?
I see his excellent show of performance by Josh and great signing for the team. Hopefully we can get a few more wins with him.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, mate, because it was awesome to watch all the way through. I've just got him in slow-mo at the moment. Did you expect to have quite the result you did when your guys entered this event, getting a 1-2?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't been keeping up with the practice. I'd missed the sign-up and I've been concentrating on the TCR. And I just signed in to watch the race, obviously, and just couldn't believe how well of a job both teams done. And Lee for coming P10 in a solo event.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch, hasn't it? With the P2 cars then, I mean, I've not seen, I won't lie, I've not seen a lot of you guys in these P2 cars before. Is it something they've gotten used to just for this event, or is it something that you guys drive a lot?
Yeah, it's something that just got used to for this event. Personally, I still haven't even got the car, I haven't drove it yet, but like I said, for jumping in the car in the first race in it, the lad's done a great job. Couldn't wish for a better result, to be honest with you.
Well, obviously, as a one-off event, we don't really have a sort of next week we're going to said track. What's the general consensus been from the guys, though, after that then? Have there been a couple of tough times for some of these boys, or has everyone really enjoyed it?
Well, I mean, Josh and Liam had a great time out in front. Josh pulling up massive lead at the start. Brian and Delmont working their way through the field, done an excellent job to get P2. Lee had a few little issues or a few little spins here and there, but like you say, just getting used to the car. So, and doing a full stint yourself and bring the car home. Excellent job.
Well, it certainly was done very, very well indeed, mate. I know that we've got, well, we've got a little bit of time on the broadcast left, probably enough to get
Long
your
enough.
humongous list of sponsors in there. But of course, I do have to ask you, mate, because we always do. We always have a good chat. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Of course, on behalf of your team. Actually, bear with me, because we'll drag him in. Mr. Silkstone himself has joined us in the commentary box. Liam, you'll be over the moon with that, mate. I didn't see you in there at first, but of course, Adam just saying how much of a good job you've done. But how does it feel to be on top step?
Yeah, it's still surreal after, I wouldn't say no preparation, but like literally putting the team together last week. Josh has driven amazing. I'm putting it all out to him for this one. We literally went down to McNally and gone, look, we've got a driver for a race. And he's like, yeah, all right, whatever. Because he's going to be like you near the back. And we're just like, no, he's all right. Whoops Bry, whoops Delmont. And he goes, where have you found him? So he's done really well and just practically carried the team, to be fair.
Well, he couldn't have done it without you, of course, mate. It's good to see both of you in there. I was very impressed to see you up there, actually, because I know that you've had a bit of a tough time in some of the TCR races and then gradually improved recently. But, you know, this is the cherry on top of a very good cake of a week, really, isn't it, mate?
It's been a mega week, yeah. I can't turn around with that one. So, no, we've all enjoyed the cars. Me and Delmont, we put a bit more practice in that McNally wasn't saying about on his interview there, but I'll mention it. Me and Delmont did put a bit more practice on when everyone else went to bed. But literally, we got a nice bit of rhythm last night, and as soon as we came on today, everything just flowed really well. So I don't think I did a lap with that on off-track in practice, and today I didn't even get an off-track, so I'm happy with that.
Brilliant. That's a very, very good effort round here as well, because it's not the easiest of circuits to avoid those off-tracks. Adam, I'm going to leave it up to you, mate, to thank the sponsors. But just before you do so, Liam, is there anyone you want to give a shout-out to, mate?
I was just chatting with Ian in the interview room, saying how good you two were doing on the stream with what I done on with the start of the stream. As usual, the NHS staff and my teammate Josh. I think he needs a massive shout out, and McNally's list, which he's going to go through now.
Yeah, obviously, big shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast, to the lads at Simracers for putting on a big show every time they get involved. We've got our usual sponsors, Excite Energy, Motorsport Days Live, Prio Premature Baby Foundation, Racing Mentor, Lux Sim 24 and ESG UK. But also I'd like to give a big shout out to our drivers for the performance today, and especially Josh, first time racing for the team in P1. What more can you want?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Well, Adam, Liam, thank you very much for joining us, boys, and well done on your results. I'm sure you'll be celebrating way into the night. It's only 10 o'clock, so crack the beers out, boys.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well done, lads. Very well deserved. See you soon.
See you later.
Liam and Adam there getting a nice send-off there by Jack with his feedback. Giving him a good buzz on the way out. We'll bring in... There's only one person you can really interview here, if I'm honest with you, Jack. We'll bring in Ollie Slade, team manager, I believe, of Don't Get Me in Trouble, Fiercely Forward, finishing third overall, and you'll be interviewed by your very own Jack Rowell. Jack, take it away, my friend.
Hi mate, what a race. First of all, obviously well done, great result, finishing P3, and obviously I see a little more on the sort of fiercely forward operations than Chaz. So I was still quite stunned that you were doing the racing the LMP1 car, because I hadn't seen any sort of information in terms of livery paints and everything like that. So what point did you decide that this was the event for you and you'd be racing the LMP1?
Well, yeah, so Alexi obviously joined the team after the VLN race last week. He kind of came to us and asked, he saw us from, Taylor Lane, and he spoke to PJ and stuff. So he came and spoke to us, and he kind of said that he used to race LMP1s, and when I first started iRacing, I also used to race LMP1s. So we thought, let's go for it, this event's coming up, and we just thought, let's go for it. There's we released the paint in the Discord, I think, on Wednesday night, and did a few iterations on that. But yeah, it's the P1s are good fun, and Alexi's one of the best. He used to be one of the best in Division 1 actually. So it's he was showing his class out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Me and Chaz were mentioning, I don't know whether you were in the car by this point, whether slipstream would make a massive effect on the cars. Would you say that slipstream and sort of hybrid management played a major part in your race?
Yeah, it's all about hybrid management and fuel management as well. So slipstreaming is something we use as more of a fuel saving technique than kind of an overtaking technique. So we kind of boosted up to the top speed at least at the first Mulsanne straight, and then just try to get in somebody's draft as soon as possible, and then you can just lift off the throttle a little bit and maintain your speed. In terms of boost management, the Porsche obviously getting a huge nerf this week, so 50% of its heat energy from the exhaust was removed. So obviously we had to do a lot of adjusting last night. So me and Alexi were jumping in a practice session and just kind of like reworking our boost management, because we had it in a position where we really liked it. So that was a bit annoying for us to last minute change that. But yeah, overall, I'd say the slipstream is more of a fuel saving technique, but it's all about hybrid management in these P1s.
Yeah, I can imagine. One final quick question. We were talking about at the start of the stream whether traffic would play a major part and how you'd approach that. What was your sort of your head in thinking that there's traffic ahead? What was going through your head when you knew you were going to end up catching traffic? Was it more, let's try and carve through them as quickly as possible, or because you were that late in the race, were you thinking, let's just get through them safely and then focus on keeping the car on the road?
Well, this is the thing. I haven't done kind of P1 racing for about a year up until this week, and one thing we didn't get to practice was traffic management. So Alexi was fantastic at this, and that's why ultimately he managed to get ahead of Van Oosenold. So yeah, for me, I was having trouble going into Indianapolis, as you saw. Every time I was overtaking someone into Indianapolis or overtaking them on the straight before then, I was either spinning out or hitting barriers, you know. So it was just the different lines that I hadn't practiced. I think there was a problem. So for me, traffic management, the patience was fine. It was more around entering corners in different lines than I'd been used to and training entering into.
Yeah, it definitely showed. You did a great job, as well as Alexi as well. And finally, the standard question: is there anybody you would like to shout out?
Yeah, well, I mean, a huge shout out to Alexi. I mean, there's not many people here who go toe to toe with Martin van Loosenhold and win, or at least be beating him for the majority of his first stint. So massive shout out to him, and of course all the Fiercely Forward sponsors. So Opencast Software, they help us out a lot with our social media stuff. Abruzzi are still helping us out, and yeah, so big hand to all of them, really.
Thank you very much. You did a great job, mate. So. That's it in terms of your interview. We have got a few more people to see. So once again, massive well done, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, and well done to you guys too. Awesome job.
Thanks very much, Ollie. Very well done in the race today, mate.
Thank you.
So Jack chucks him back into the fishbowl. We basically have one more interview to do. We will look back at the final lap in GTE in just a moment for you, because I know a couple of people have asked for that. It was incredibly close actually in that class. I believe between second and third, there was only something like half a second. It was unbelievable. One person I have dragged in at the moment, though, just to have a quick interview with us, is Ian Roots. Ian, I bet you're over the moon with that, mate. What a fantastic event this has been.
Evening, boys. Yeah, it has been incredible. I couldn't take my eyes off it for the full length of the race. It was absolutely fantastic. And coming down to the last lap for the LMP1 boys and the GTE boys as well, so close. What a show. What can I say? I'm speechless, to be honest, because it has been a fantastic evening's motorsport.
It really has. I mean, battles all up and down the order, like you say. So much close racing all over the place. And, of course, that tantalising little chase at the end as well that had so many twists and turns in it, more than Le Mans itself. It just had everything, didn't it, to make a great race for everybody.
It did. It was astonishing. I honestly thought when I saw the gap coming down, I thought, you know what, G-Drive, they're going to go for the win here. They're going to kill it. They are absolutely going to kill it. And he was lap record pace for the entire last stint, other than traffic. And I thought, yeah, he's got this. He's going to win this by the 4 or 5 seconds. And then going on to that final lap, I think what happens, if you look at the timing, the penultimate lap, they crossed the line with about 2 seconds to go, and that was what killed it for half the field. It was a misjudge of fuel by all of them, and yeah, that just ended up being CQR Club, and what a win! What an absolute win!
Oh yeah, Pete Harrod will be over the moon. I mean, I've got my my team's Facebook chat is going absolutely mental for it at the moment. Pete was saying himself, actually, I know he's not here for an interview, but I can say that he was saying he knew the guy in second was tight on fuel in his last stop, but still he was, I can't tell you what, pooing a brick is the phrase I'm going to go for those last couple of laps. He says the other two guys he was chasing that were chasing him, were way quicker. He just made sure that throughout the whole race he didn't get involved in incidents. Because he knew that they'd nerfed the regeneration of the car, he was flicking between all the different modes throughout the whole race and just managing it. And it looks like he did that to perfection, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah. He played a blinder, to be honest. It was G-Drive were unlucky. They got caught out in someone else's incident, and that really kind of put paid to their race, to be honest. They had a bit of damage, and they couldn't hold people off, and they were slow until they couldn't pit, because at the time that happened, they couldn't pit because it was too early. It meant they would have to stop again, so they had to live and bear with it for the last section until the pit stop. But no, it was incredible, and obviously we've got all the other classes as well. Excite boys, they did incredibly well in LMP2 to win by 40 seconds, and apparently, so I've been told, didn't even get in the car until yesterday or today. Which is an incredible job by those guys. And you know, we all love the Excite boys. Their profile's high and absolutely fantastic. And obviously GTE, you know, what a fight in GTE as well with the Meraki boys. They could have some poor luck there for them, but they could have had a really good showing as a 1-2 as they did in TCR earlier in the week. But no, it was a really good evening, and yeah, just what a show. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you very much, Ian, for getting us two in on this as well. We've really enjoyed sharing the box, haven't we, Jack?
Oh, it's been mega. I would, like I said with the VLN, I'd do it again tomorrow.
Fantastic, yeah. It has been, honestly, you two guys absolutely make the show, and everybody has been appreciating you in the chat today. And we've opened a bit of a can of worms here, I think, with you two together. That it's the sign of things to come. Obviously, we've got the big event on the 26th of April showing the Bell Car Series. That's no secret anymore. So we've got a one-off event on that day. That will be fantastic. And the community is shouting out for more of these so-called fun events. They are really fun to watch, but I think behind the wheel, I think it's a different matter, because these guys take it deadly serious, and everything matters to them. They lay it all on the line, as we saw with the G-Drive team. They do lay everything out there. But no, there's going to be more to come. Not sure if you guys are aware, but I've put out the feelers to all the big teams out there. If they want to put on one-off events for just basically the fee of the broadcast, then effectively they can organise one-off events, and the community will join in, and we can do that, get us through these tough times and these periods that we're all on lockdown. And so you know, expect more to come. But however, having said that,
it's going to cost you.
It's going to cost me. It's going to cost me, definitely, but it's well worth it. The community have been second to none. They've been outstanding. You know, we just put a flyer out for these events, and within 24 hours we've got nearly 60 cars on the grid. So you know, people want racing. If all the time people want racing, we'll put on a show. And if you guys are available, then you know, you can be in the booth together. You know, it's all yours. You do really well for Simracersworld. You know, I can't thank everybody enough for supporting the community, and sign of things to come.
Definitely is. Well, thank you very much, like I say, Ian. Good to speak to you, buddy. And I'm sure we'll be chatting before long anyway. But it means a lot, mate. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, take care, guys. Good night.
See you later.
Ian Roots there of Simracersworld. And one more thing I do want to do. I'm just going to click randomly back to a part in the replay, so I'm sorry if this is a different bit. Lee Deemer coming back on track. I want to watch the final lap in the GTE battle. So PJ Claysons was leading the way, Lewis Ward was in second, and then it was Martin van Ruik in third. Keanu Bourguignon was behind him, and Sebastian Herberet for You What Mate was in fifth. Now, I believe, when would this have been? This is the only issue I've got with coming back to a replay on this, unfortunately, is knowing whereabouts we were at this point of the race. So there would have been a really good battle between De Tige and Herberet, as we usually were seeing during the race. But as things went on, I believe it was Lewis Ward and Van Ruik that were close together. There's one of the Fords behind there. I think that's it's not Keanu Bourguignon, it's his teammate, isn't it? That would have been behind him there, the other Flemish car, which was Kim Behate. Is that right?
The number 34 car. Yes, Kim Behate.
Yes. So there was a really good battle apparently to the end. I'm just trying to think now. How are we going to find out? Let's have a look. So, Jeroen was... This is where Jeroen slowed down, wasn't it? It was, yes. So, this was coming onto the final lap then. So PJ Clayson's was leading. He was out fine. Lewis Ward was in second place and very, very aggressively going through traffic. He had Van Ruijk only 8 seconds back, so I think Van Ruijk was... looks a bit further than 8 seconds back, doesn't he? He's almost a lap ahead, actually. Oh, Lewis Ward, sorry, finished ahead of him in the end. I apologise. Third and fourth. Third and fourth, people are telling me. That's my bad. Because I think it was Van Ruijk that was running out of fuel. Lewis would have got past him in the end. And it was my favourite driver's name, Keanu Reeves Beef Bourguignon.
Yes, it is.
So here he is into Arnage. And ahead, Van Ruijk will have had to started... Oh, he would have had another lap actually, wouldn't he? I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm only just figuring this out, everyone. I've only got a limited amount of information here because the timing screen to my right is basically showing the end result of the race, not where it was at this point. So here you go, Van Ruijk then comes into the pits knowing that he's not going to get enough fuel till the end. So he wants a splash and dash, so we'll keep our eye on Keanu Bourguignon. Oh wow, he got really held up there by the year one Porsche in front of him. So when the Porsche comes back out of the pits, Van Ruijk, the fight is really going to be on here, Jack. And, oh, apparently Martin says that he jumped the chicane and got a slowdown, so that would have just added to it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's not the way you want to finish a race, but as you just see him disposing of Dean Timms, it's, yeah, it just hotted up from here. There was literally nothing between them.
So he gets out of the final corner.
There we go.
So he crosses the line. He thinks that that's the end of the race, I think.
Yeah.
And then he realises, and he's cracking on with it. And here's Van Ruijk. So he realises this isn't the end of the race. And he's got another one to go. And the chase begins then for Bourguignon. Sorry everybody that it took us so long to get to this point, but we just had to make sure. I could only click a small manageable amount of things on the timing to get us back to this point, so I couldn't really pinpoint it that much. But Van Ruijk, even though he took a splash and dash, it's all going to change when he gets to the chicane here, Jack. Of course, the slowdown, very, very, very harsh on this circuit, isn't it? Really, when you cut a chicane, then it obviously means that you have to give the time back. And usually, with iRacing being as it is, sometimes it makes you give back a bit more than maybe necessary.
Watkins Glen I've discovered over the past few weeks, or the past week, sorry, doing a few IMSA races. I've just sort of cut the track maybe a tiny bit. I barely gained a tenth, and it's just like, yeah, that's 1.5 seconds, please. So it's a very good deterrent. It keeps it in the back of your mind not to do it. So I think iRacing, maybe it's an unpopular sort of option that it gives you, but yeah, it's a very good deterrent, and you know, if you do it once, I doubt you'll do it again.
Definitely. We just got his name in the YouTube chat is Flaro, and it's actually Keanu Bourguignon who's in the chat. Apparently he's been exposed now. There's the corner cut then from Martin Van Ruijk, because we showed him celebrating the win when it wasn't the last lap. Apparently he's been exposed now, and he's just said, yeah, he didn't have to show that. But here is the chase then. So he's going after that. I must say, I will say this, Team Simpact Racing, you have a very beautiful Porsche. Not just because Murray Walker's on the inside of the windscreen, but that is a gorgeous livery. I'm a big fan of the multicoloured livery on it. Of course, Bourguignon as well in the Flemish car. We've got a really good livery battle on here, haven't we? You love that thing.
I love the Flemish livery. It's such a good livery, and it makes them faster. I'm telling you, a good livery makes you faster.
It does. And oh, Alex Torres has just commented in the chat. Now, for those of you that don't know Alex Torres, he races in the Simracersworld TCR series, and he's the Spanish driver in there, and I always nickname him the Spanish Inquisition, because he's always hanging around just a bit further down the order, waiting to take positions off people. Look at this run from Bourguignon around the outside. This is the last lap. Oh my goodness, that was close through there into Indianapolis. Hard on the brakes. He covers it off there, does Van Ruijk, but look at the run that Bourguignon's got through there into Arnage, still side by side. Gives him only the amount of room that he needs. Tries to get a cutback, gets a good one as well. What a great run through there. This is after 2.5 hours of racing. So close between these pair, Jack, as they go towards the Porsche curves. Look at it.
You can't put anything between them. Literally, that was almost door-to-door contact. It's crazy. Like I said, 2.5 hours of racing has led to the very final lap, and there's not even a tenth between them. Don't even think there's even a thousandth between them. Side by side
around
there,
the outside.
through the Porsche curves. The Porsche really showing off what he can do around the Porsche curves. They aren't named that for a reason, and they're still side by side. Like, just almost the tiniest bit of contact. I don't know where. Well, I do know where to look because they're literally on top of each other, and I think that's Van Raywick who's sadly fallen foul there. But what an absolutely amazing race! You couldn't put anything between them, and at this point you're thinking this isn't over because look.
He's got a slowdown as well.
And there you go. There's the slowdown. That's really what happens. It's crazy. I'm lost for words. 2.5 hours of racing led to the very last chicane.
That's absolutely fantastic. I want to see, and I'm going to put one in as well, I want to see plenty of clap emojis in chat, everybody, for that battle. Well done, Van Ruik, for finishing that. Bourguignon so close at the end there, but they were literally door to door. Like Jack said, they were touching most of the way down that straight. That was unbelievable. Thank you, everybody, for telling me to look back at that, because, honestly, that was worth the wait, and I do apologise for it being a bit of a strangled route to get there, but, wow. Clap emojis in chat, please, for Bourguignon and Van Ruik. That was an amazing way to finish out the broadcast. They can be very, very pleased with themselves. That'll make some sort of Twitch clip somewhere, I'm sure. But from Jack and I, and everybody at Simracersworld TV, it is a very, very big thank you for watching tonight. We had a fantastic amount of viewers, fantastic amount of likes. Jack, any final words from you, mate?
It's going to be more of a final paragraph, as Ian mentioned. We've got the amazing event at the end of the month, the 26th of April. Please make sure you note it in your diaries. It's a day you really can't afford to miss. If you're not driving, you really ought to be spectating. Simracersworld have partnered with Belcar Series, so a real-life series. And like Ian said, during these rough times, we've got to get bits of racing in here and there. Just to keep the fire going. So it's a virtual event for the series, and it's going to be a full day. Me and Chaz once again in the box, so I can't wait for that alone. It's going to be a TCR supported event, so there's TCR and Formula 3. They're just the two support races, so we know what TCRs are like. They're crazy good racing. In Formula 3, I don't watch them as much as I drive in them, but I know that's crazy good racing. So you've got two really, really good championships and series racing before even the main event, and then you've got a 2-hour multi-class event at Zolder where Belcar is based. So it's going to be an absolutely amazing day. So make sure you put it in your diaries. You can't miss it. I don't know what else to say about it. I can't sugarcoat it enough. It's such a good event, and I can't wait to do it. And I can't wait to see everybody there.
And I back that up as well from Jack, because I mean I commentate and broadcast the Simracersworld TCR series and Formula 3 series, and let me tell you, if you've not seen any of their racing, make sure you subscribe to the channel and have a look at some of the previous videos of the races that we've done there, because the racing is absolutely top notch, and to have both of those before we even get to the main event and a 2-hour race around Zolder, it's just going to be incredible. And like I say, to echo Jack's comments, I'm really looking forward to sharing the box again with you, mate. Looking forward to having everybody there with us. But from me and from Jack and everybody involved, it's very, very much thank you, and have yourself a fantastic evening. We'll speak to you again soon.
See you later.